The world ended once, not with fire, not with silence, with hunger, a hunger that consumed civilization itself, demon by demon, soul by soul. And then the man who died killing it woke underpowered in a classroom, 10 years earlier. Si Chen is not the chosen one, he is the only one who remembers. The only one who knows which demons emerge where, which allies die when, and exactly how the system works because he already ate his way through the apocalypse once. Now he's speedrunning the end of the world, devouring enemies before they devour cities, forging skills from the corpses of demon lords, and learning that every meal he takes makes the next course arrive faster. The glutton is dead, but something hungrier is waking underpowered in its place. This is Return of the Devourer. Our boy smiles for a family photo like he doesn't already know this timeline's expiration date. The system hits him with a blinding flash of light that says, essentially, we're doing this again. His teenage face stares back from a window with eyes that have already watched the world end once. He wakes up bandaged and confused in what the signage generously calls a hospital, which is really just campus medical with better lighting. The view outside says everything's fine. The view inside his head says wasn't the world destroyed. This is the cognitive dissonance of being a war veteran in a sophomore's body. He checks his reflection and the system answers before he can finish the question. Power of gluttony fusion complete, the patch notes are in, and his stomach is now a weapon of mass consumption. 3 years before everything goes to hell and he's already got the end game build loaded. New Game Plus doesn't even cover it, this is speedrun strats with a trauma disorder. The flashback doesn't waste time being subtle. A colossal entity with glowing pink internals looms over a city at dusk, and some demon in a tattered cloak holds up a severed limb like it's a participation trophy. His plan is beautifully simple. Beat the first demon lord, stop the gates from opening, change everything. The kind of plan you make when you've already seen how the movie ends and you're not a fan of the finale. He pulls up his stats and the system shows him exactly what he's working with. The face he makes says, are these my current stats, but what he means is why do I still have the tutorial equipment? Silhouetted figures stand over a fallen comrade in front of a modern building, and he remembers he never awakened while attending school. That's probably why he woke up in the hospital. The system rebooted him to the last save point before he got good. Then the lightning assassin card pops up and everything clicks. Yellow energy crackles around him like he just won the gacha pull of the century, except this is his original account, restored from backup, and the devs never expected anyone to keep their login credentials through an apocalypse. He stares at his own character card with the intensity of someone reading their own obituary and finding it inaccurate. The lightning silhouette on the card confirms it. He's not starting over, he's resuming from cloud save. Ma Long walks in with that hey you're awake energy, completely unaware he's talking to a man who watched him die in another life. The system screen floats there, visible only to Si Chen, which is basically the ultimate you wouldn't get at Flex. His roommate's injuries vanished overnight and Ma Long processes this like it's a minor medical mystery, not a timeline edit. Si Chen looks at him and thinks, in my last life you were brutally murdered on day 3. Now he's standing here, real as ever, and the protagonist has his first real reason to speedrun. The tired look in his eyes says he's already calculating which gates to clear, which demons to eat, and how many timelines he'd burn to keep this one idiot alive. Campus life continues around him like the apocalypse isn't already loading in the background. Students play basketball, the sun sets orange and hazy, and Ma Long suggests walking the track because he thinks his friend needs fresh air, not because he knows they are on a clock. Si Chen stands in ruins that haven't happened yet and thinks, if I don't do anything, this is what comes next. The determination in his eyes is less heroic resolve and more I have seen the walkthrough and I am not doing the bad ending again. A knight raises his sword while a figure kneels on a dragon's back and the word level up hangs in the air like a threat. But here's the problem. Anyone not in a guild has basically no shot at ranking up, and our boy burned his guild membership along with the rest of civilization in the previous timeline. Most students stay E rank their entire school career and only the connected or talented touch D rank. The system is rigged, which Si Chen already knew, but knowing it and watching it reload in real time are different flavors of frustration. Then something large and orange comes flying at his head with the energy of a badly coded hitbox, and a man hits the ground groaning with blood on his face. First day back at school, first random violence, and Si Chen's already calculating whether this counts as experience points. The bandaged kid swears about bad luck and running into him again, which means this isn't their first encounter. A muscular man with a tank top and a smirk that screams I peaked in high school and it was yesterday stands there with his arms crossed, backed by his personal audience. The guy's complaint is that they didn't bring 2 cases of drinks to his basketball court, which is the most entitled territorial pissing I've seen since the last time I opened a MOBA lobby. Si Chen looks at this man and sees someone who has no idea the tutorial boss is about to eat him. The pendant necklace catches the light first, which is how you know this man has never once questioned whether he's the main character in someone else's story. Gong Cheng sits there like he owns the stairs, which he probably thinks he does, while the bandaged kid from the alley is having the worst déjà vu of his life. The kid's face says this is a recurring subscription he never signed up for. The whole crew's here too, arranged like a boy band that only knows one pose and its intimidation but make it casual. 5 guys on steps, 0 original thoughts between them. Someone in the back actually says they ran into him again, like this is a weather pattern they track. Ran into him again, not he keeps assaulting people in public. The passive voice is doing so much heavy lifting here. Gong Cheng's smirk has levels to it. This isn't playground bullying, this is a man who peaked in high school and it was literally yesterday. The white-haired figure behind him with crossed arms is just furniture with opinions. And then Si Chen arrives, or more accurately, his red eyes arrive, and the rest of him follows with the enthusiasm of a man who has already read this chapter and is speedrunning to the good part. Oh, it's this jerk, that's the entire emotional register. Not fear, not anger, administrative recognition. What happens next is not a fight. A fight implies 2 participants with agency. This is a patch note. The impact has its own Korean sound effect, and his dignity is now permanently deleted. Gong Cheng's face meets water with the kind of velocity that suggests physics itself has been waiting for this. The toilet bowl has never been used for its intended purpose with this much narrative significance. Gong Cheng's crew watches their guy get submerged like they're waiting for the tutorial pop-up to explain what just happened. The bubbles of his departure surface in quiet installments. That's not a sound effect, that's his dignity leaving his body in 3 installments. Meanwhile, the bandaged kid is on his knees pleading for it to stop, which is the most realistic reaction in this entire sequence. He's seen what Si Chen does to people who inconvenience him, and he's doing the math on whether quit it, you guys, counts as de-escalation or a will. It does not. The will has already been notarized by the system. The shaved head guy asks, why should I stop, with the exact confidence of a tutorial non-player character who doesn't know the protagonist already cleared this game on nightmare difficulty. His fist answers the question before his brain catches up, and the laugh track in the background is doing a lot of heavy lifting for a scene that's about to become a public service announcement. Chen Wai grabs Si Chen with that specific panic of a support main watching their carry get targeted, and the crying kid wants to know why people won't leave them alone. The bald man turns with the slow realization of someone who just heard his own death flag spoken aloud by a stranger. The bully rolls up with basketball entitlement and 2 missing cases of drinks, which is somehow the most legitimate grievance in this entire hallway. The red-eyed kid stares through him like a loading screen, and the shadow figure delivers the line about who should actually be apologizing with the energy of a game master reviewing chat logs before the ban hammer falls. 3 dudes power up with the full RGB spectrum of elemental energy, which would be intimidating if this weren't a cutscene. Gong Cheng gets name-dropped twice because the narrative wants us to remember who's about to become a statistic, and the crowd reacts with the bloodlust of people who've never seen a protagonist hold back on purpose before. The hallway commentary is just roasting 2 kids for not being awakened yet, which in this economy is like mocking someone for not having a 4090 during a GPU shortage. Then someone deploys the biological warfare option, and the green-eyed man asks, what did you just say, with the specific tremor of a man who knows his dignity has entered a non-refundable transaction. Energy crackles around a fist with the sound of a loaded save file, and Chen Wai throws the kind of punch that suggests he's been waiting for an excuse since freshman orientation. The impact sends a larger man rotating like a loading icon, and the spectators are already processing that the difficulty slider just got moved from easy to you are not prepared. The purple jacket kid connects with a follow-up that would earn a combo multiplier in any fighting game, and the crowd's collective what just happened is the sound of a narrative pivot they didn't budget for. Si Chen's red eyes narrow with the specific calculation of a speedrunner who just spotted a frame-perfect skip, while the goatee guy delivers condescension from a health bar that is about to experience a sudden depreciation event. A cloaked figure with glowing yellow eyes holds a card that is absolutely not a Yu-Gi-Oh reference but functionally operates like one, and the glasses kid's what? Is doing overtime as the designated audience surrogate. Si Chen asks when someone awakened with the tone of a man who already knows the answer and is disappointed by the confirmation, then conjures lightning around his finger with the casual malice of someone selecting delete save file from a menu. The rage punch comes with a monologue about killer jabs and forgotten flavors, which is emotional damage crit on top of physical damage. A monstrous fist descends toward a suit-clad kid who stands there like he knows the iframe timing, and the impact blooms with yellow energy that suggests someone just crit their own dignity stat. Mephisto, red skin, small horns, formal wear, takes a punch with the expression of a demon king who did not read the patch notes before logging in today. The energy blast from that fist is not a skill, it's a statement of terms. And the body flying through the air is doing the physics engine's best approximation of uninstalled. The thwack that follows has its own sound effect budget, and the bandaged kid screaming in the foreground is the only one reacting with appropriate horror. Everyone else is still processing that the tutorial boss just got soloed by a level 1. The glowing outline in the crowd radiates yellow energy like a legendary drop that hasn't been identified yet, and the man on the ground is doing the heavy breathing of someone whose build just got hard countered. He manages to call his opponent a son of a word that rhymes with which while grappling a white-haired kid, which is multitasking under pressure that deserves some respect. The stammering kid in the corner is the only one providing accurate commentary. "But" is the complete sentence when your worldview just got patch nerfed in real time. Our boy watches the chaos unfold with the calm certainty of a cutscene you can't skip, and one of Gong Cheng's goons charges forward with the battle cry of a man who has officially abandoned risk assessment. The hit that turns him away from the camera is the narrative gently informing him that this is not, in fact, his moment, while the clashing arms that follow throw off sparks with the specific energy of two builds meeting several patches earlier than intended. The monstrous figure's arm comes off with a crack that the Korean sound design team definitely spent time on, and the year that follows is the most incomplete threat in shonen history because the fist that interrupts it has priority. Yellow eyes clench with the determination of someone who just activated their ult without checking the cooldown, and the lightning around that fist suggests the tutorial period has officially ended. The body blurs with impact effects that would make a fighting game developer weep, and the consecutive BAMs are not sound effects, they are the narrative establishing a rhythm section for someone's orbital bone. The explosion that follows catches multiple figures who definitely did not read the area of effect warning, and the coughing survivor against the cracked wall is delivering the kind of weak cough that in hospital dramas means we need a montage now. The slumped figure with the torn chest is the visual definition of damage sustained. Yes. People flee a crumbling staircase with the urgency of a server shutdown announcement, and the bandaged kid laughs hysterically while asking when Si Chen did whatever Si Chen just did. The red-eyed young man stares forward with his hand outstretched and bloody, and that expression is not shock. That's the face of a man who just checked his inventory and confirmed the devour mechanic still works post-patch. The status screen confirms what we already suspected. All stats at 100 level 1 with the kind of even distribution that suggests someone already respect for the endgame. Si Chen crackles with lightning while explaining he can switch to lightning assassin whenever he wants, which is the most casual way anyone has ever described having multiple job classes unlocked before the tutorial officially starts. Our proto announces there's still another problem with the gravity of someone who just remembered the raid schedule, and the full stat screen flashes again like the system is trying to get his attention about something he already calculated. The hand that crackles with energy is not preparing to strike, it's preparing to demonstrate that the level cap in this game is more of a suggestion than a rule. The crowd asks what he's doing with the panic of NPCs who just realized the protagonist is about to trigger a cutscene they can't skip, and the answer arrives in the form of a blinding yellow energy blast that engulfs a screaming man with the thoroughness of a delete key. If you've ever watched someone use admin commands in a public server and felt that specific combination of awe and injustice, drop overleveled in the comments. The student council vice president arrives with the energy of someone who read the first 3 pages of a rulebook and now considers herself the final boss of bureaucracy. Ling Yu stands there with her arms crossed, purple eyes gleaming with the specific confidence of a vice president who has never once been told no by anyone who mattered. Meanwhile, some poor cloaked figure is getting the full anime protagonist experience, collapsed on the ground, glowing with enough yellow energy to power a small village, while another character stabs him with what I can only describe as administrative violence. Si Chen reaches down toward the fallen opponent with the casual menace of someone who has already calculated the experience points yield, and when he speaks, his red eyes are doing more negotiation than his words ever could. The background students are witnessing what can only be described as a patch notes live deployment. Everything they thought they knew about the power hierarchy just got hotfixed in real time. The two guys running away have the right idea. When the tutorial boss starts questioning the student council's defense priorities, you do not stick around for the lore explanation. Ling Yu delivers the weakest loser's line with the exact smirk of someone who has never been on the wrong side of a hidden identity protagonist reveal, and I am begging her to read the room. Men's dormitory under a dark, cloudy sky, the most ominous location card this side of a horror game save point, and we are absolutely about to get a cutscene that explains why everyone should have believed the glasses kid. Ma Long is having the most frustrating I told you so moment in recorded history, frantically explaining that Si Chen awakened as a super overpowered lightning assassin, while his audience responds with the collective skepticism of people who have never met a regressor. His roommate reenacts the violence with the theatrical commitment of a TikTok storytime creator, while the other guy smirks like he was there, which he absolutely was not. And this is how legends get distorted before they even become legends. Back at the dorm, Xiang Zuo, certified flame mage and certified headache, is trying to figure out where Si Chen disappeared to. The glasses kid, still bandaged from his earlier enlightenment, stammers out something about a run. Another roommate responds with the logical fury of a man who just learned his dorm mate might be a lightning assassin but definitely skipped leg day. Meanwhile, Xiangyu just sits there with a lollipop, mentally filing this under Ma Long took a beating to his head, moving on. The debate escalates with the energy of people who have never once been correct about anything but remain deeply confident. Someone declares their irrefutable fact with the posture of a man who has never met an irrefutable fact in his life. Another genius brags about being fourth from last, which in his head makes him dorm royalty. And then the main event. A striped shirt hater delivers the most doomed monologue in the building, confidently stating there's no way a pathetic loser like Si Chen could ever awaken as a lightning assassin. Some confident classmate flexes through the conversation like tomorrow's rank evaluation is a formality, which for him it probably is. Someone else chews their lollipop and mutters that everything will be clear soon, the universal sound of someone who knows nothing and fears everything. Then the scene cuts hard. Four figures in long coats facing down a swirling vortex of orange and pink energy, looking like they just walked out of the most expensive gacha pull in the game. One of them gets engulfed in light with a sound effect that definitely cost the audio team their weekend. Gong Ting stands there with blood on his trench coat like it's a Tuesday accessory, while the student council president crackles with enough pink energy to power a small city. They walk away from their training session, leaving behind bowing subordinates in a landscape that looks like someone set the saturation slider to apocalypse. The power scaling just walked in wearing formal wear and nobody in the dormitory arc is ready for it. Back in the shadows, Gong Cheng gets called out by a voice that clearly has opinions about his life choices. Someone begs him to do something about the Si Chen situation or they'll never sleep again, the insomnia of the dramatically inconvenienced. And then we get the close-up. A bandaged man with glowing green eyes glaring like he just read the last 3 pages of the script and did not appreciate the spoilers. Cut to Si Chen, or at least, someone wearing his face with yellow eyes and white hair and the smug expression of a man who absolutely read the walkthrough before starting the game. He says he'll take care of it, which in protagonist language means I have already solved this problem and am waiting for you to catch up. And then the panel cuts to a knife and fork slicing into steak with the aggressive precision of someone who considers every meal a tactical operation. The metaphor is not subtle. The blonde with yellow eyes questions whether this mysterious guy is really as strong as his brother claims, which is the universal sibling dynamic of my brother exaggerates, but also I need to know for betting purposes. A woman with the exhausted confidence of someone who has ranked every student in this school explains the recruitment math with the enthusiasm of an accountant who has seen too many D-rank disasters. Ordinary students don't get dungeon access, she notes, which is the polite way of saying the system is pay to win and the free players are livestock. The sky opens up like it's trying to wash away the entire genre, and Si Chen runs through it with a 100-kilogram load strapped to his back for 20 kilometers. This is not training montage aesthetics. This is the face of a man who has already lived through the bad ending and is not interested in a repeat performance. The close-up on his sneaker comes with a caption about basic training building solid foundations, which sounds like a fitness influencer post until you remember he's preparing to eat a demon king. He stops in the rain and whispers that even this is nowhere near enough, and the delivery is so quietly devastating that the weather itself seems to pause for his trauma. Then the memory hits 2160 Demon King War, a monster dungeon that became a worldwide graveyard. The panel shows a colossal entity with glowing pink segments unleashing devastation with the casual energy of a natural disaster that checked its calendar and found apocalypse penciled in. We see two figures silhouetted against this thing, and one of them is unmistakably Si Chen standing beside someone who will not survive this timeline unless he changes everything. A dark shape screams no into the void, and we cut to see Chen kneeling in the rain, cradling a wounded woman whose blood is washing away with the water. His face in the next panel is the kind of determined that doesn't come from hope, it comes from having already buried everyone once and refusing the encore. The red eyes aren't a power-up aesthetic. The monstrous shadow with pink eyes and a starbright forehead emerges from the darkness, and Si Chen's red-eyed glare in the rain says he's already calculating the nutritional value. He has 3 years before wrath descends again, he thinks, and that should be enough time to turn himself into something that can swallow a primordial. The confidence would be delusional if we hadn't already watched him clear a gate that took 3 parties in his first life. His phone rings with the violence of a plot device, and the caller ID says Si Yun, a name that hits him like a memory he wasn't prepared to access. He answers with a hello that carries approximately 17 layers of emotional damage, and the voice on the other end is about to remind him that not everyone he failed is dead yet. Some of them are still alive, still calling, still waiting for a version of him that hasn't been through the war. A young man laughs in the rain with a backpack and the oblivious joy of someone who doesn't know the script, and the sound effect cuts through like static on a frequency Si Chen can't tune anymore. The rain keeps falling. Si Chen stands there with tears streaming down his face and a smile so faint it might be a glitch in his expression system, saying it's nothing, the universal lie of people who have carried too much for too long. He claims it's just been so long since he's heard that voice, which is true in ways that depend entirely on which timeline you're counting from. The close-up on his face, tears, smile, red eyes, the whole emotional damage package holds for a beat that feels longer than it is. He says it's been so long since he's heard that voice, and the repetition lands harder the second time because now we know what he means. This is not a teenager having a moment. He wipes his face and the voice in his head says 3 more laps because trauma doesn't get a rest day in this training regimen. He runs through the rain with a backpack and the determination of someone who has converted his entire emotional spectrum into cardio. The body is young, the stats are low, but the grind set is eternal. Back in the dorm, someone enters with a duffel bag while a guy in goggles lies awake contemplating his life choices. The Universal College Experience Demon Apocalypse Edition. Si Chen stands under a shower and finally admits he's starting to adjust to this body, which is the kind of statement that sounds like recovery until you remember he's a regressor inhabiting his own younger corpse. His physical stats are still low, he notes, but the body is much younger, and the subtext is that he has time to break it properly this go-around. Sitting on his bed in a black robe, he explains to someone on the phone that the guilds have a complete monopoly on dungeon access, the classic paywall of progression systems everywhere. He lies there with red eyes and the exhausted clarity of someone who has mapped every bottleneck in the machine, noting that unless you're elite, there's almost no chance to grow stronger. The how awful that follows is delivered with the flat effect of a man who has already decided to become the exception. Then he falls through a pink void with limbs flailing and the expression of someone who did not authorize this transition, tumbling through space with whoosh effects that feel almost insultingly casual for an existential displacement. He lands with a splash of red energy that looks less like an arrival and more like a system glitch that got tired of waiting for him to queue properly. The impact panel hits different. This is not a dream sequence. This is a dungeon entrance, and Si Chen's confusion is about to become very relevant. He looks up at a vast jagged structure rising from a blood-red sea under a pink sky, and the architecture screams final zone, do not enter without saves coming. His confusion is immediate and vocal. Where am I? Wasn't I just asleep? And the answer is that the system has decided his training arc needs a practical exam. No one asked for this. Si Chen opens his eyes to a hellscape that looks like someone put a pink filter on the end of the world. He's confused, exhausted, and the first thing he notices is a tower that absolutely should not exist in his high school dormitory. Monstrous hounds with glowing blue eyes emerge from the red mist, and Si Chen's body crackles with yellow lightning he doesn't remember installing. The system helpfully announces he's now a lightning assassin, which is the kind of class change that happens when you nap too hard. He stares at his own status screen with the dead-eyed confusion of someone reading patch notes for a game he's never played. Strength, stamina, element, speed, all the standard role-playing game stats, none of the tutorial. The Gravehounds attack with the enthusiasm of unpaid interns on their first day. Si Chen dodges, impales one mid-leap, and the system casually logs 3 fangs into his inventory like he's running a loot goblin side hustle. Experience points notifications flood his vision like subscription alerts during a patch note stream. He levels up, acquires Graveguard materials, and the whole experience has the mechanical satisfaction of a mobile game auto battle he didn't consent to. Every stat jumps 5 points and Si Chen finally cracks a smile. The expression of a man who has just discovered the universe runs on exploitable math. Then the Gravehound King emerges, and the smile freezes into something more professionally concerned. The king roars, Si Chen's eyes glow with the commitment of someone who has nothing left to lose, and he unleashes a slash that turns the battlefield into a blood-splatter texture pack. Level up, the system rewards violence with the casualness of a participation trophy. Then the word devourer appears in glowing text, and Si Chen's expression shifts from victorious to visibly alarmed. The dead king's corpse sinks into red liquid, and our boy asks the question every horror protagonist should ask earlier: what exactly do they mean by devour? A loading bar appears, devouring, loading, which is simultaneously the most mundane and most threatening user interface element I've ever seen in a manhwa. The system processes the corpse like it's rendering a video export, and Si Chen watches his own power do something he absolutely did not authorize. The V-womb of completion hits, and suddenly Si Chen has a Gravehound King card in his collection, not just loot but a whole class template. The realization dawns with the intensity of a bias record during a fan call: he can turn monsters into his own classes. He could have endless classes, the kind of build diversity that makes min-maxers weep into their spreadsheets. But before he can theorycraft, a horned demon with glowing red eyes emerges from the darkness, and the atmosphere shifts from power fantasy to survival horror. Si Chen stares at his 2 character cards, Lightning Assassin and Gravehound King, with the wide-eyed shock of someone who just pulled back-to-back URs on a free summon. Then the existential question hits: why was he granted this power in the first place? The universe answers his philosophical musing with a single word floating in jagged text: dumbass. A cloaked figure lunges through glitchy static, and Si Chen feels pressure that makes his previous fights feel like tutorial pop-ups. The figure speaks with the patience of someone who has been camping this spawn point for geological eras. He's been waiting for Si Chen specifically, not random adventurers, not passing hunters, but this exact exhausted teenager with inventory management issues. The cloaked figure wields a jagged purple blade and calls Si Chen by name, which is never a good sign in any dungeon context. Si Chen responds with his own name, as if confirming delivery for a package he didn't order, and the fight begins with a bloody explosion. Si Chen grits through yellow lightning, admitting his strength is barely D-rank against something that outclasses him in every stat. The figure stands in black steel armor with no visible face, War, the 7th Circle Demon King, doing early-game bullying with end-game equipment. Si Chen asks what kind of monster dungeon has S-rank enemies, and more disturbingly how this thing knows his name. The questions hang in the pink air unanswered because War is not running a queue in a session, he's running a recruitment drive with lethal consequences. War attacks with a spiked scythe, Si Chen trades blows with the desperation of someone who knows the level gap, and the skeletal figure asks if he's still struggling. The subtext is clear: submit or become content. Si Chen, bloodied and cornered, reads the room correctly: this thing wants him to surrender. War offers opportunities, patience, the whole Demon King Hours package, but Si Chen's response is immediate and anatomically specific about where he can store that offer. No matter what happens, he's not staying in this hellhole. The Demon King laughs, calls it laughable, and unleashes purple energy that sends Si Chen recoiling. But our boy is already analyzing 0.2-second recovery window after each strike, the kind of frame data observation that separates speedrunners from casuals. War asks if he really thinks he won't be killed, then admits the only reason for this patience is that Si Chen reached this place at all. Strength and stamina notifications flare, the system is still processing, still upgrading, still pretending this is a fair fight. Floating rocks and crackling pink energy frame the final offer. Si Chen's eyes glow yellow with the intensity of someone about to make a choice that will define their entire build path. He speaks 2 words that echo with the weight of every speedrunner who ever chose the hard route. War finds it laughable and attacks again, but Si Chen has already committed. Yellow lightning meets purple blade in a clash that throws both back, and our boy's eyes burn with the rage of someone who has died once and refuses to let the tutorial boss win the rematch. The Demon King unleashes multi-eyed purple horror, Si Chen dodges and strikes with crackling fists, and the narration explicitly notes that 2-second recovery window. This is not a shonen power-up, this is a no-hit run against a raid boss who hasn't read the patch notes. Si Chen sees his opening, these few seconds are all he needs to escape. He bolts through yellow energy with the desperate clarity of someone who knows exactly how thin his margin for error is. War's voice follows through the vortex, unfortunate, merely an afterimage, the exit you seek. The real Demon King found his technique flaw in real time and still calls it intriguing. Si Chen, still analyzing under crushing despair, here's the last thing any protagonist wants to hear: you really are the one who will bring hope. The Demon King delivers the prophecy with the enthusiasm of someone placing a bulk order, and the scene cuts to a white flag with 2 exclamation points. The universal symbol for this encounter is not over. We are simply moving to the next phase of psychological damage. The system throws up a warning banner that basically translates to "you are not prepared," which is adorable considering who's reading it. Si Chen has already died once today, he's not about to respect a user interface element's opinion on his readiness. A Demon King comes at him with a sword and the kind of lunging commitment you usually see from people who have never been devoured before. The explosion that follows is less fight scene and more the universe filing a noise complaint. Something else charges out of the blast radius with glowing red eyes and the body language of a customer service representative who's been told, "Let me speak to your manager," one too many times. And then the sky cracks open and an ice dragon just arrives, with the energy of someone who saw the group chat was popping off and had to see for themselves. A horned creature answers with fire and what I can only describe as main villain who hasn't read the script energy. You're not the final boss here, buddy, you're the appetizer that thinks it's the entree. The counterattack lands clean and our boy recoils with an expression that says, "Okay, that one had some spice to it." The culinary review of a man who's about to add this creature to his permanent menu. The thing that charged out of that blast radius is now mid-lunge, all thorns and glowing red eyes and customer service rage, while some poor fighter scrambles backward like their refund policy just got revoked. Then a white orb pulses behind it, and you already know this is not a negotiation, this is a power-up sequence with anger management issues. Cut to our guy with the yellow eyes and the grimace that says he's seen this cutscene before and skipped it twice already. Meanwhile, a horned demon with blue eyes and purple energy is doing the whole "I am your final test" posture, except the lighting is doing more work than the dialogue. The crystalline structure behind it erupts with vortex energy, and then we get the gaping maw surrounded by chains, every demon architect's Pinterest board, basically. Si Chen's over here like, "Don't tell me this place," with the face of someone who just realized the restaurant he recommended is now a front for something deeply unholy. The demon leans in with, "You have proven yourself worthy of everything here," which is the most suspicious all-you-can-eat offer in fiction history. Our boy's shocked everything here is doing a lot of heavy lifting. That's not excitement, that's financial anxiety with teeth. The system voice, or whatever passes for middle management in this dimension, drops the "devour them" and grows stronger directive. And suddenly there's a glowing, ornate key floating in front of Si Chen like the world's most aggressive loyalty program reward. He's holding some spiked golden weapon looking like, "Why are you giving me this? I didn't order anything," which is valid because unsolicited magical items are basically cosmic phishing. The cloaked figure, chains around the neck, purple flames, the whole eye shop at the villain outlet mall aesthetic, says he's fortunate this chance has finally come. Then someone worries about that guy being right, and Si Chen's confusion is palpable because he's currently in a conversation with at least 2 people who know more about his schedule than he does. The figure turns, energy erupting, and the 2 swords behind him glow with the enthusiasm of backup dancers who finally got their moment. Si Chen hits us with "Take your powers," in the exact tone of someone who just found out the job requires unpaid overtime. Then we get the extreme close-up of the blue eye, the scream with chromatic aberration that says someone's graphics card is dying, and a massive clawed appendage descending with all the subtlety of a patch note that nerfs your main. The shadowy figure crashes down surrounded by debris and light fragments, and the whole sequence has tutorial boss who thinks he's the final encounter energy. "We've seen this before, buddy, you're not special." Wide shot of Si Chen in the long coat, standing in a sea of red, watching distant purple explosions like he's reviewing a restaurant that just got 1-starred by a demon lord. Then the level up hits LV, 10 Si Chen with golden energy and a clenched fist, the most justified "I told you so" in gaming history. The extreme close-up of those red eyes after says he's not celebrating, he's calculating the nutritional value of what just happened. Hard cut to a bedroom, sunlight streaming, and see Chen sitting up with awe like he just remembered he has a test he didn't study for. His friends are rushing around in panic about uniforms and being late. The classic "we have school today" reveal that hits different when you spent last night eating a dimension. One of them reveals his chest wounds are totally healed, which is convenient, because explaining demon fight to the school nurse requires paperwork this series doesn't have time for. The status screen drops with all stats at 150, strength, stamina, element, speed, luck, mental, the whole evenly distributed breakfast of a man who said yes to every attribute. Then we get the nameplate "C Chen level 10, same stats, same I don't believe in min-maxing energy." His friend hits him with the smug grin about someone bragging how strong he is now, and the sitting on bed confrontation has all the tension of a roommate who heard you through the wall last night. C Chen stares forward with that determined, red-eyed intensity that says he's about to make a decision the narrative will regret. Someone challenges him to prove his strength, and then we're at the ranking assessment with four guys on a staircase, one eating, one taking a selfie, the most accurate depiction of mandatory school event ever committed to panel. The mid-tier E-ranker is doing the whole "you guys are low-tier, I'm mid-tier" speech, which is the kind of hierarchy obsession that only makes sense to people who have never fought an actual demon. The bespectacled hype man is telling C Chen to go all out, get that D rank, live his best life, and C Chen's red eyes are processing this like a calculator that just got asked to do feelings. Someone else repeats D rank, with the energy of a person who's already seen the answer key. Then the wide shot hits. A crowd on a grassy field, big screen reading National Awaken University ranking assessment ceremony, and one student who cannot believe everyone's already here, as if punctuality is the most shocking part of this universe. Gong Cheng's minions push through the crowd with the confidence of people whose boss has a name that gets dropped in sentences, and the hallway reaction is pure fear. They're looking at us, in the exact tone of someone who just made eye contact with a final boss at level 3. Then C Chen appears in a suit, dark hair, red eyes, looking to the side with the neutrality of a man who knows the entire encounter table by heart. The C-thump reaction from the minions is immediate and violent, like their fight or flight got triggered by a man whose power level they cannot parse. The minions hit the deck so hard you can hear the impact through the panel. C Chen, sir, with the full military panic of people who just realized their threat assessment was written in crayon. The bespectacled observer crosses their arms with C, what did I tell you, which is the most insufferable correct person energy in any dimension. C Chen stands there with closed eyes while people bow in the background, and the close-up on his faint red glow says this is not satisfaction, this is the exhaustion of a man who wanted to eat breakfast, not establish dominance before second period. Someone's gossiping about the Gong Cheng confrontation yesterday with the grin of a person who lives for hallway drama, and then the nameplate drops. Qiang Di, student council officer, floral shirt and suit jacket, the most aggressively dressed bureaucrat in this or any dimension. Students on the track point him out with the reverence usually reserved for speedrun world records, while three others look at a screen asking what the hell could he want with C Chen. The correct question, because student council interest in a man who eats dimensions is never about attendance policy. Qiang Di leans in with, did you know, I have an excellent sense of smell, which is the most threatening way anyone has ever opened a conversation about olfaction, and follows with, but all I smell from you, the pause that launched 1,000 fan theories. He's blue-haired, smug, invading personal space like it's a ranked competitive category, and the whole interaction has I know something you don't know energy that would be annoying if it weren't clearly backed by actual intel. The question isn't what he smells, it's what C Chen's about to do when he finds out the student council has been profiling him like a Yelp review. Some guy with blue hair and entirely too much confidence leans in with the energy of a used car salesman who sells organs on the side, bragging about his excellent sense of smell like that's a personality trait. The tall guy in the suit leans down like he's about to explain tax law to a child, but the shorter man just takes it with the posture of someone whose survival strategy is outlast the meeting. Then someone shouts loud enough to qualify as a secondary sound effect. Enter the blonde guy with yellow eyes who has clearly already filed the paperwork on everyone in this room. He announces that Gong Cheng was at fault, which is the bureaucratic equivalent of a critical hit, then walks away like his to-do list just got shorter. The sharp-featured man with yellow eyes just stares into the middle distance, processing, while C Chen's red eyes glow with the patience of someone who has already read this episode's script and is waiting for the commercial break to end. On a rooftop, two figures discuss upcoming ranking assessments with the casual dread of students who know the test is rigged but still have to show up. Below, a crowd gathers for the National Awaken a University ranking assessment, which sounds like a standardized test where failing means you die. A woman with short blonde hair and purple eyes sips tea with the expression of someone who has already placed bets on the outcome and is enjoying the chaos from a safe emotional distance. Someone shouts Xiang Zuo with the enthusiasm of a raid party chant at the loot screen, and scientists watch a portal glow with the professional concern of people whose funding depends on this not exploding. A young man cheers with his fist in the air, living his best life, while Si Chen reaches out with a glowing hand and announces he's about to find out how strong he really is, the exact words of someone who already knows and wants the dramatic reveal. Si Chen walks through a glowing blue portal like he's entering a loading screen, and the artificial monster dungeon reveals its gimmick, a magical core that absorbs something, probably hope. The system is running a tutorial he completed 10 years ago in another life. Energy sphere forms between two hands with the enthusiasm of a Dragon Ball reference. Then some poor guy gets engulfed in orange light while screaming like his subscription to life just got cancelled. The explosion is generous, the sound design is doing overtime, and a one-eyed entity unleashes a sonic attack that has its own dedicated panel. That's not a boss fight, that's a main character introduction with extra steps. Red organic tendrils buzz with the energy of a notification you can't dismiss. Some lab equipment swirls with ominous purpose, and a smug guy with styled hair smiles like he just got in on a group project he didn't contribute to. Scientists observe a portal with the practiced neutrality of people who have seen too many interns become data points, then declare mid-tier, recording complete with the emotional investment of an automated email response. Meanwhile, a guy with glasses shouts that the main event is coming with the desperate hype of someone who needs this to be interesting or his entire personality collapses. The word potential appears above a light burst with the subtlety of a billboard, and Si Chen stands dejected in front of a portal lamenting that his rank didn't improve in 2 years, the most relatable lie a secretly overpowered protagonist has ever told. His friends comfort him with will be even worse, which is friendship in its most honest form. In a chaotic classroom corner, Si Chen gestures while Lai Na adjusts her glasses with the concern of someone who knows he's faking but can't prove it, and two men react with surprise as a woman appears in a low-tier portal. The ranking system has no respect for dramatic timing. A man in a suit and Hawaiian shirt walks through a portal laughing like he just heard the best joke at a funeral, while students react with distress that ranges from head-clutching to violent ejection. The ranking assessment has different difficulty settings, and apparently some people loaded into hardcore mode by accident. Formal shoes walk on pavement with the purpose of someone whose calendar notification just said be intimidating, and a man in a trench coat adjusts his tie before a crowd like he's about to drop a mixtape that restructures the government. Behind them, Si Chen's red eyes lock onto the scene with the focus of a predator who just spotted the buffet line opening. A mechanical heart with an eye motif pulses in a teal room like the world's most concerning smart home device. Then a one-eyed entity stares forward with its glowing blue eye and attached wires. Someone's been doing unauthorized firmware updates on cosmic horror. Mephisto, red skin and small horns in formal wear, reaches toward this abomination with the casual interest of a man checking his email. A man with yellow eyes and messy brown hair reaches toward the viewer with the energy of a jump scare that got delayed in post-production, while someone contemplates holding back their full strength for the graduation battle examination. The classic I could win now, but the plot demands a bigger stage strategy that every shonen protagonist has installed by default. Abstract lines against blue suggest someone is having a vision or the artist got experimental. Then Prophet Marcus, gray hair, mustache, earpiece, looks surprised and says that color with the recognition of a man who just spotted his ex at a party he wasn't invited to. Someone deploys language that rhymes with truck with the kinetic energy of a man whose emotional regulation just encountered an unexpected system error, and another voice exclaims that this is the first person in the school's history, the kind of superlative that only gets said right before everything goes wrong. Students react with shock and jealousy to someone from their school having S-rank potential, which is the exact emotional cocktail of proud of my friend, and why not me that fuels every competitive academic environment. Scientists confirm the results with the breathless awe of people who have just realized their grant applications are about to write themselves. Someone drops that this S-rank prospect is also heir to the Imperial Guild, because one power fantasy wasn't enough, and an older man with graying hair notes that someone already knew about Gong Ting's potential, the knowing nod of a man who has been running simulations on everyone in this room since before they enrolled. A blonde figure with purple eyes smiles faintly and says compared to Gong Ting with the loaded pause of someone who is about to introduce a plot twist. While Si Chen walks through a crowd with his red tie and determined expression. The next student up for assessment, and the only one in this building who already knows exactly what number the system is about to show. While the student council is losing their collective minds over rank drama, Si Chen is already 3 moves ahead, because the actual war doesn't care about your graduation combat examination seating chart. Back in the dorms, some guy in a floral shirt is delivering a motivational speech that rhymes with duck about E-rank results, which is the most first-world problem this apocalypse has ever witnessed. The student council president is building their 10-person dream team of D-ranks like they're assembling a boy band, and our guy with glasses is just standing there wondering when the actual demons arrive. Meanwhile, in a lab that definitely violates several safety codes, something with one eye too many is wired into a glowing core, and a cloaked figure is staring like he just read the patch notes for his own funeral. Si Chen finally emerges from assessment, and the hologram reads D high tier, which would be embarrassing if he hadn't been suppressing his actual class the entire time. The Gravehound King doesn't do karaoke recruitment events. The observers are losing it, the sound of a rapid, repetitive impact, because the rank flickers again. Si Chen's internal monologue is just level 10 equals high-tier D rank neat, while everyone else is experiencing an existential crisis about the magical core's sanity. And then the system drops the real title card, level 10 Si Chen Gravehound King with a hexagonal emblem that screams this is not a D rank anything. The skull-faced summon with the glowing red eye agrees it's doing the most aggressive bias wrecking of the entire assessment arc. Someone shouts C rank and immediately pivots to something malfunctioned, which is the exact coping mechanism of every person who just got outplayed by someone they underestimated. The scientists have never seen this, which means the system itself is improvising. The magical core starts doing things, purple energy, cracking sounds, a full demonic transformation sequence that would make any magical girl anime jealous. Si Chen's testing his full power now, and the Abyssal Fiend class card is just sitting there like, yes, this is fine, everything is normal. A massive pink eye fills the screen like the system's final boss just loaded its cutscene, and some student actually says a divine phenomenon, today will go down in history, bro, your history books are about to need a content warning. Another potential S-rank appears because one apocalypse catalyst wasn't enough for this enrollment cycle. The core shatters, the deep, resonant boom of destruction, and suddenly everyone's running like the fire drill just got upgraded to actual dimensional breach. Someone screams about the magical core being dead, which is technically correct, the best kind of correct, and also the worst kind of infrastructure failure. Si Chen gets pulled through a portal by dark tendrils while someone asks if he's alright. The answer is functionally yes, bureaucratically absolutely not. He looks at the fried core and shrugs, pushed it too far, it ruptured, but at least something good came out of it, the most unbothered reaction to property destruction ever recorded. The word hunt hangs in the air like a promise, and suddenly Si Chen can see everyone's rank, E-rank mid-tier, E-rank high-tier, the whole buffet laid out. The system just gave him nutritional information for every student in the building, and our boy is absolutely thinking in calories. Assessment suspended. Obviously, you can't exactly continue standardized testing when someone just broke the magical equivalent of the SAT machine. The scientists are holding specimens and praying, while Chibai students are already planning their escape to the cafeteria. The student council guy is absolutely fuming, trash like you, C-rank, S-rank potential, you messed up the core, how will you pay us back? And Si Chen is just standing there with yellow energy crackling off his hand like I have several answers to that question. None of them involve currency. A stern man in a suit steps up, don't be rude to our teammate, and the whole dynamic shifts. The slick back hair recruit is already making his pitch, join my team, we'll do the graduation combat examination together. Si Chen looks at this man with the red eyes of someone who has already calculated exactly how much experience points he's worth, and the answer is not enough to delay my schedule. 3 young men in suits corner our boy on a grassy field, pitching him on joining Gong Ting's team like it's a pyramid scheme with better dental. The purple-haired one is already doing mental gymnastics about who gets kicked to make room, because apparently being on Gong Ting's squad means automatic first place in the graduation examination. Si Chen looks down at them with the enthusiasm of someone reading terms of service and delivers the only honest response this genre ever needs. The recruiter does not take not interested well, he kicks his own teammate in the head, which is a genuinely unhinged way to handle rejection. The panel just says not interested floating in space, and honestly that should be the title of Si Chen's autobiography. The red bandana guy gets grabbed from behind, yellow eyes staring through him like he's already calculating the nutritional value. The terrified teammates start screaming about how they're the strongest team in the entire school, which is the exact sentence you say right before the protagonist makes you look like a tutorial non-player character. Si Chen doesn't even look up, "I don't care, you're too loud," and the sheer disrespect of that delivery should be studied in negotiation seminars. His eyes glow red and he drops the four-word combo that ends careers. "Don't bother me ever again." That is not a threat, that is a system notification with emotional damage crit applied. Achievement unlocked, social interaction speedrun any percent no hit. The recruiter screams you with literal fire coming out of his mouth, which is either a hidden skill or the most dramatic stress response in Manhwa history. Meanwhile, background students are already gossiping about how Si Chen rejected Gong Ting, because in school settings the news cycle moves faster than the actual plot. One student clocks Si Chen's real motivation. He's gunning for first place himself, because of course the C-rank mid-tier nobody is actually playing the long game while everyone else worries about clout. The assessment result gets name-dropped like it's a flex, and the peanut gallery correctly diagnoses that things are about to get interesting. Understatement of the arc, honestly. Cut to see Chen laughing with a classmate about the whole encounter, absolutely delighted by how embarrassing the other team looked. This man just weaponized social dynamics, rejected the top clique, and is now having a giggle about it in the courtyard. The devourer has many appetites, and apparently petty satisfaction is on the menu. The peanut gallery has opinions. Some graybeard in a suit size that nobody teamed up, a blonde with main character in her own mind energy smirks about school records, and someone with a mole on her cheek decides this is way more interesting, like she's watching reality TV with popcorn. Then someone drops the lore bomb that Gong Ting was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, which makes Si Chen's rejection hit different, not just a social dodge but class warfare as a microaggression. But the real damage is the question hanging in the air. What if the assessment wasn't wrong? Cut to golden eyes burning with the intensity of someone who just got told no for the first time in his funded by daddy existence. Gong Ting himself is not taking this well. He's out here declaring he absolutely won't let this stand, even if it's 1 in 100 million, while some background elite is having a full panic attack about how they've been secretly grinding monster dungeons with yoga instructors, or whatever. Si Chen, meanwhile, delivers the most devastating line in the entire chapter: "Whatever you end up doing has nothing to do with me." That is not a dismissal, that is a complete uninstallation of someone from your mental hard drive. The floral shirt guy in the background looks like he just witnessed a murder with no body. Then blue hair over here grins like he just got an idea, and the next panel he's already whispering off campus with the energy of someone who absolutely should not be trusted with that information. This is how side quest villains are born, and we are watching it in real time. Si Chen puts in his earbuds and pieces out of this entire social situation, because when you're the only person who knows the apocalypse schedule, high school drama ranks somewhere between optional side quest and actively detrimental to my build. And now the tone shift hits like a truck made of other trucks. Pink energy blast, then a tree monster impaling someone with the caption "The guild was wiped out." We cut to a multi-eyed horror against yellow sky, and then the text drop: "Wrath emerged from the monster dungeon and descended upon the human world." Patch notes 1.8. Tutorial phase has been cancelled due to unscheduled apocalypse. Si Chen walks into what looks like the weapons section of a fantasy Costco, complete with a knight in full plate armor just standing there like he's waiting for his wife to finish shopping. Our boy is not here for the ambience. He drops bone fragments on the counter with a sound effect that reads clank. The universal language of "I killed something and you're going to give me money for it." The scientist type behind the counter actually says "huh," like he's never seen a student with dungeon loot before. And the suit with the red bow tie immediately clocks him as still in school. Si Chen hits them with "I've never heard of that happening before" in the most deliberately unhelpful tone imaginable, which is basically his entire social strategy: be so vague that people fill in their own assumptions, then let those assumptions work for the narrator. The pink-haired attendant starts explaining that Gravehound fangs can be smelted into E-rank cloud something, but Bowtie Guy cuts her off with a full VIP system rant: distinguished clientele, premium goods, D-rank or higher only. This man is gatekeeping monster parts like they're limited edition sneakers. He's still mid-tantrum about not recognizing E-rank trinkets when the real kicker drops: there haven't been many high-end customers lately, and at this rate he'll never get promoted. The desperation is palpable. Si Chen stands there with his phone out looking like he's calculating whether this man's entire career is worth his time. Spoiler, it is not. The system window pops: Gravehound fangs, 18 units, 18,000 even. Si Chen does the mental math out loud that'll cover rent for now, which is the most broke college student thing a world-ending powerhouse has ever said. Then he pulls out the wrapped weapon and asks for an appraisal, and the energy in the room shifts like someone just opened a window in a gas chamber. Purple light erupts, ornate spiky armor manifests in digital fragments, and the sound of the glow is so stunning the story just prints the word, like the Manhwa is too stunned to generate proper onomatopoeia. Bowtie Man absolutely loses it. A rank, what were you thinking? While the guy with light blue hair and a ring adjusts his glasses and calmly states it's definitely not a rank or B rank. The bowtie guy pivots so fast he gets whiplash. You've got sharp eyes, boss, I knew it. How could a broke student bring anything? And then the glasses man drops the S-bomb. S-rank piece of equipment. The panel itself is just the exclamation because at this point words are doing heavy lifting that visuals cannot. The handshake sound lands and suddenly they're shaking hands like old business partners, Bowtie Man gushing about how honored they are by his patronage while Si Chen laughs ha-ha with the emotional authenticity of a customer service chatbot. This is not friendship, this is capitalism recognizing power. The final panel is Bowtie Man looking up in absolute shock as a giant cloaked figure looms over him, while the glasses guy says if you need anything at all, please do not hesitate to let me know. And that is how you know Si Chen just became the most important customer this shop has ever seen. The kind of customer who makes you reconsider your entire business model. Si Chen sits there with the 1,000-yard stare of a man who has already calculated the interest rate on his own soul and decided it's acceptable collateral. Tea service in a weapon showroom, because nothing says legitimate financial institution like sipping oolong surrounded by enough steel to outfit a small militia. The man in the suit asks how much, and Si Chen drops 1 million with the casual energy of someone ordering at a drive-thru. The suit nearly chokes on his own professionalism, only 1 million. That purple-bladed sword on the rug between them has seen more blood than most hospitals, and Si Chen's using it to secure pocket change for a school exam. He sips his drink and lays out terms, principal back in a month, interest on top, while the pink-haired maid looks on with the melancholy of someone who knows this transaction is about to become company legend. The suit's done his homework, National Awaken University, graduating seniors, first place prize money exactly 1 million. He's not lending to a stranger, he's investing in a fix. The glasses adjustment is how you say I know your entire life without speaking. You're confident you'll take first place, the suit says, and Si Chen's silence is louder than any yes. It's the confidence of a man who has already eaten the final boss of this particular raid. Lord Zhao, because of course this is Lord Zhao, the military aesthetic was a hint, notes that nobody takes risky loans as a first option. Si Chen's predicament is transparent as glass, and the smug little smile says the suit enjoys watching him negotiate anyway. The star on the cheek is doing psychological damage. That's just one badge in a negotiation he wasn't even competing in. And then the generosity play, better terms than necessary, future business promised, because predators who share their kill get bigger prey later. Si Chen's smirk in the shadow says he knows exactly what game they're playing. The scroll glows, the phone buzzes with 1.5 million for the abyssal netherbone, and suddenly this broke student has liquidity. The suit offers equipment for the exam, generous, strategic, probably tracked, and Si Chen declines with a hand full of digital light. He's holding another purple blade, identical to the collateral, because of course he has duplicates of the weapon that just secured a loan. I've still got another weapon just like the one I gave up. The shock on that face, pure, unfiltered, we did not price this risk correctly horror. Exit stage left with a please take care, sir, that translates to we are never speaking of this again. Behind him, the office celebrates like they closed a whale. Zio Lai gets promoted, fingers go up, nobody asks why the whale looked at them like they were the fish. But Si Chen's not done, he needs to buy something, and the taxi door closes on that weapon showroom like he's leaving a bad review that hasn't been written yet. The voiceover hits different now. In my last life, my family struggled financially. A delivery man runs stairs, a sister finds tutoring work, and we're watching a man rewrite poverty like it's another dungeon he already cleared. His sister's torn paper, his worried scan of the horizon, Yunny should have gotten off the bus by now, and then the bro. That cracks his composure like a dropped phone screen. The entrance-exit lecture, the suitcase tap, the text overlay confirming what we already feel, Si Yun, 7 years of separation compressed into one frame of disbelief. That extreme close-up, 7 years in the red eye, the light hitting like a system notification for trauma, and she's reaching out, asking why he's just standing there, not understanding that he's memorizing her being alive. The hug lands, swish, impact frame, two bodies colliding with the force of a timeline correcting itself. And then Lai Na's wide pink eyes in the background, witnessing something private and devastating and beautiful all at once. The content smile, the distressed bro. And then she jabs him in the back, choking him with affectionate violence because that's how siblings communicate when words can't carry 7 years of "I thought you were dead. You've been acting weird, did you get rejected by a girl?" The nervous smile, the hand-holding walk, the smug look back. See Chen's playing normal so hard it deserves an Oscar or at least a participation trophy in functional human behavior. High angle, long shadows, the observation that this is definitely the way that punk C. Chen takes to get home, and the floral shirt with the cigarette and the glowing red eyes, grinning like he invented menace. The steam from the temples, the vow, "I'll make sure he learns," and the cigarette dangling grin asking what happens when you mess with him. Buddy, C. Chen ate a demon lord for breakfast and you're out here cosplaying as a parking lot bully. The floral shirt guy's still dangling that cigarette like it's a personality trait, ranting about some E-rank piece of trash who apparently wronged him in a past life, or maybe just cut him in line at the cafeteria. Hard to tell with these cultivation-adjacent grudges. C. Chen hits him with the "don't bother me ever again." 5 words, 0 inflection, the emotional equivalent of a 404 error page, and walks off while the masked backup crew starts planning a graduation day ambush like that's a normal response to rejection. Cut to rooftop sibling time with Yunny, who has clocked that her brother's acting like a pod person and is not letting it go. She's out here doing the concerned little sister routine with the intensity of someone who knows exactly how many times weird gets you sent to the principal's office. See Chen's internal monologue reveals the real stakes. Yunny noticed something was off the moment they met. She still doesn't know he's awakened, and she's probably worried about money because their family dynamic runs on financial anxiety like a Tesla runs on lithium. The smile he gives her is doing so much heavy lifting it should qualify for workers' comp. And then the red eyes activate, not C. Chen's this time, but the whole city's about to have a problem. Silhouetted figures with weapons, a skyline that suddenly feels less urban and more evacuation advisory, and some scarf-masked rage merchant screaming like he just got his Spotify playlist deleted mid-workout. See Chen's move? He pops an earbud in Yunny's ear like he's sharing a playlist, except the song is probably "Ignore the Impending Violence," Little Sister in the key of emotional repression. Lai Na's already vibing somewhere else with her eyes closed, blissfully unaware that the graduation exam stress is about to get very literal. The shadowy figure's close in, blue eyes over here staring like he's trying to manifest a death note through sheer willpower, and someone grabs a yellow bag with the determination of a DoorDasher who just got a no-tip order. The trap is sprung, the music is playing, and C. Chen's about to commit several violations of the student conduct code. Flashback incoming, the year 2167, rebirth, yellow energy crackling like someone plugged a toaster into a lightning storm. This is C. Chen's origin story in 4 panels. He died, he waited, he came back, and now he's got enough pent-up trauma to power a small city grid. The extreme close-ups on glowing eyes are doing that "I have seen things you people wouldn't believe" energy without the Blade Runner voiceover. Back to the ambush, and C. Chen is not playing. Masked men with clubs, yellow energy slam, someone's leg, now it's a weaponized kick with blood spatter physics. The guy on the ground looking up with "I made a terrible life choice" written across his face in arterial spray. The red-haired spectator in the back, finally understanding that E-rank was a misprint. Yunny still listening to her music, eyes closed, probably imagining a world where her brother isn't a reincarnated war criminal. Meanwhile, C. Chen's fist is crackling with enough energy to void a warranty, and the "ah" from the redhead getting grabbed is basically the soundtrack to every tutorial boss realizing they've been scaled for New Game Plus. The bam hits different when you know it's someone's ribcage graduating early. Blam, the impact panel that says "we are not doing non-lethal today." The guy in the yellow jacket kicks the red shirt guy into next week, a wooden log gets the splinter treatment, and then the shadow fist descends like the universe itself filed a complaint. This is what happens when you threaten a man's sister within earshot of someone who remembers the apocalypse. The math stops being math and starts being therapy. Spiky hair throws the punch, armor cracks, and the scream that follows is 2 syllables that rhyme with arm, because that's exactly what's being subtracted from this man's body plan. Blood spray, extreme close-up of "I did not sign up for this" face, and the panel where 2 figures get launched through an explosion like they forgot to read the boss's attack pattern. The recoil panel, eyes wide, mouth agape, the universal expression of "my build was not prepared for this encounter." Then blinding light, a masked assailant swinging a bat at the guy in the yellow jacket like this is a discount home run derby, and the knife guy standing in explosions like he's posing for an album cover he didn't authorize. This fight has more moving parts than a 50-50 comeback schedule and roughly the same casualty rate. Knife guy in the street, explosions for ambience, red energy blast catching the yellow jacket guy in a moment that definitely voids the warranty. And then floral shirt lunges with the serrated blade, eyes wide with the particular fear of someone who just realized his E-rank trash assessment came from a bad data set. The panel says everything his pride won't. This was never a fair fight and fairness was never the point. Blue hairs you, with the distress radiating off him like a heater, and then the rage scream that deploys vocabulary best described as agriculturally intense, serrated knife, yellow energy, the whole emotional package. Si Chen answers with a fist full of lightning and the expression of someone who has filed the paperwork on this conversation already. Head snaps back, blood arcs, gravity remembers it has a job to do. The knife falls, the sword of light emerges from darkness, and then pestilence, the plague lord. Bloated, oozing, flies for accessories, the whole aesthetic that says I was not invited to this graduation party, but I brought disease as a plus one. This is the first demon lord of the timeline, early by 2 years, and he is not here for the hors d'oeuvres. Si Chen punches through the decay, blood, and debris painting the panel like abstract art, while some poor wounded soul falls through a void of stripes and regret. The figure in the dark coat, our guy, always our guy, drops through light itself, leaving a trail that says I have consumed the tutorial boss and I am still hungry. The miasma that kills in minutes, he drank it. The plague resistance, he earned it. The self-destruct signal broadcasting his coordinates to every demon lord on the continent. That's how you RSVP to a war. I clearly told you to never bother me ever again, and the sound of whatever's left of his patience finally snapping like cheap chopsticks. The demon lords know where he is now. The timeline is bleeding, and Si Chen still standing, injured, alive, and absolutely ready to eat the next course. Si Chen stands over the guy who apparently thought bother me again was a suggestion, not a termination notice, and the red-eye glow says the paperwork on this conversation was filed in triplicate. The guy on the ground is having the kind of realization that usually requires therapy or a response screen, because the rank assessment was real and Si Chen was never the D rank they assumed. Knife to throat, blood drawn, and the victim's internal monologue is just screaming that the eyes aren't lying. He really will do it, which is the most honest performance review this man has ever received. Si Chen delivers the remember every word speech with the energy of someone reading terms of service out loud before clicking I accept your permanent deletion, and the serrated knife makes a guest appearance that nobody asked for. The pig-like creature gets the blade treatment too, because Si Chen's hospitality policy does not discriminate by species, and the Hawaiian shirt guy on the ground is learning that the afterlife has no dress code either. Hard cut to Si Chen admitting it feels lonely, which is the most emotionally honest thing he's said since regressing, and the girl with the triangular hair clip is crying like she just heard the B-side of a title track nobody plays. Si Yun hits him with the big bro, aren't you taking this joke too far, because she still thinks this is a bit. And the red jewelry box with the golden pen is a peace offering from a man who just finished threatening to unalive half a neighborhood. The holographic pen hype is real until she remembers the price tag, and Si Chen's smile says he made some money doing business with a friend, which is one way to describe what just happened in that alley. In this life, fist clutch is doing heavy emotional lifting, and then we cut to two figures entangled on a bed with a city skyline behind them, which is either a flashback or the most abrupt genre shift in Manhwa history. Injured men crying for ambulances while Si Chen stands in the distance is a composition that really captures the I am not the protagonist of your story energy, and the red hair on one of them is just bleeding into the frame. The pink fish spirits are either Si Yun drawing with her stylus or the panel artist dropping a Masamo reference without permission, and Si Chen's As Long As You Like It. Yunny is the closest thing to tenderness this man has deployed in 10 years of timeline. Fried egg noodles get the highest praise in the household, and then we cut to a pregnancy test with a worried expression, which is either a flashback continuation or this story just added family planning to the apocalypse prep list. Si Chen picking his nose while explaining business with a friend is the most visually honest negotiation tactic I've seen, and the "you're being way too sus" call-out is deserved because this man has more red flags than a Twice concert fan project. The closed-eye smile with the head tilt is doing things, and then Lai Na shows up with the "don't push yourself too hard" while resting her head on her hand, which is either concern or she's collecting blackmail material for later. Underwater coral reef interlude because this story's pacing has no respect for conventional structure, and the green-eyed man's disbelief that anyone picked a fight with Si Chen is the most relatable reaction in the entire chapter. The woman in green sips tea while delivering the graduation exam update, and the stern man's better off without deadweights is either team management or the most polite way he's ever described someone who got folded like a paper crane. Gong Xuan gets name-dropped with the "it's that Si Chen again" energy of someone checking their spam folder, and the clownfish swimming through anemone while ranking assessments get confirmed is the most peaceful data verification I've witnessed. The yellow-eyed stare is holding a shark now, which is either a power move or aquarium security finally caught him, and Ling Yu's purple-eyed smirk from the shadows says she's already calculating how to monetize this chaos for student council clout. The "did you really think I used my full abilities" line drops with the confidence of someone who has definitely been holding back their title track choreo for the comeback stage, and the shark prop is just sitting there like it auditioned for a bigger role. Rain-soaked 100-kilometer run with weights because standard cardio doesn't hit different enough, and the golden crown on the number one is doing more promo than most idols' entire debut week, followed by the million-yuan prize money reveal that explains why everyone suddenly cares about this graduation exam. The teal-haired man with glasses is honoring his agreement with King Zhai, which means the Mithril Exchange already has Si Chen on retainer, and the less than a month left countdown is doing the same emotional damage as a comeback announcement with no release date. The ominous staircase under the red sky is giving final dungeon energy, and Si Chen's Gravehound King reveal with the half-skeletal face and C-rank mid-tier label is the kind of visual that makes you understand why the system keeps saying maximum bounds exceeded like it's not a compliment. The abyssal fiend form with blue eyes and the claw reaching through pink and blue crackling energy is bias-wrecking the entire timeline, and the system cards with question marks where faces should be is either a privacy setting or the artist admitting even they can't keep track of his forms anymore. The purple vortex with the glowing key is either a portal or the most aggressive gacha pull animation I've seen. And Si Chen getting engulfed in that energy with the whoosh is the perfect transition to whatever form he's cooking next. Because this man treats transformation sequences like other people treat morning coffee. Mandatory, daily, and slightly terrifying to witnesses. Si Chen kneels on alien stone under a nebula that looks like the universe filed a noise complaint, and the first thing he processes is that his full power is locked behind a geographic paywall. Above him looms something the size of a small moon with the emotional availability of a tax audit, the Phantom Lion, a cosmic panther made of purple spite and astronomy textbook margins. Si Chen's lightning assassin form is already gasping for mana like a twice fan at a Misamo concert, but he grips his sword anyway because retreating from a star beast is not in his build. His body feels like gravity got a promotion to middle management. The system flashes miss, paralysis failed, vital hit failed, a trilogy of rejection letters delivered in real time. The lion slams down with the enthusiasm of a stage diver who misjudged the crowd, and Si Chen does what any reasonable speedrunner would. He respects mid-fight into something that doesn't negotiate. Purgatory Rakshasa, the system card hits different, like a bias wrecker in a group photo, and Si Chen's eyes go from tired red to something that makes the cosmos file a second noise complaint. The new form comes with horns, green eyes, and the kind of aura that makes demons update their wills. He punches through crystalline barriers at 200% gravity like the physics engine owes him money. The numbers escalate like a K-pop chart, 200%, 600%, the screen becomes a pink gradient of mathematical violence, until the Phantom Lion learns that being cosmic does not confer plot armor. The beast roars its final roar, the ground shatters upward in a geometry of defeat, and Si Chen collects his loot, one Phantom Lion bone, which the inventory treats with more respect than his emotional well-being. He lies defeated victorious on the cracked floor, huffing like he just finished a marathon in Hell's basement, and the system quietly updates his build, Star Warrior and Lightning Assassin, dual classing because one apocalypse wasn't enough. But the system is acting suspicious, no devourable mark on the lion's corpse, and a gate to the next floor materializes like an unwanted software update, which means the dungeon is either broken or farming him for engagement metrics. Si Chen looks at the mountain range, looks at the vortex, looks at his own hands with the expression of someone who just realized the tutorial boss was a preview, and commits to the descent with the enthusiasm of a man who has already read the patch notes. More spectral panthers emerge from the cosmic void. This dungeon has subscription model enemy spawning, and Si Chen falls down a rocky slope while getting blasted by purple energy, a combination of Parker and emotional damage that would make a 50-50 choreo look relaxing. Then war arrives, not the concept, the Demon King, 7th circle, black steel armor, single purple eye, the kind of raid boss that makes guilds disband in the lobby, and the spectral panthers become background music to a main event nobody bought tickets for. The lionhead roar, the blue maw lunging, the bloodied face of a man who understands that retreat is a skill he never equipped. Si Chen recoils from war's shadow with the first genuine fear we've seen, because this is not a dungeon mechanic, this is a timeline correction with teeth. He wakes in a hospital bed, clutching his shoulder like it holds a grudge, and the red-eyed glare he gives the ceiling is the same expression he gave the apocalypse 10 years from now, tired, furious, already calculating the rematch. Cut to a train full of students gossiping about the graduation combat assessment, because nothing says intermission from Demon Kings like bureaucratic anxiety about team assignments and whether your rank is high enough to get invited to the group project. The official with the mustache and the thermos explains the new rules with the energy of someone who has never been punched by a cosmic panther, and the holographic screens display team lists where Si Chen's name sits like a typo. The room discovers that Si Chen's rank dropped from C rank to low E rank, and the collective gasp has the acoustic signature of a BTS fan chant gone wrong. How do you downgrade a man who just fought a demon king to the tier of needs a buddy for the field trip? Someone remarks that surely no one will want to team up with him now, and the auditorium laughs with the confidence of people who have not checked his second-class slot, his consumed demon count, or his general vibe of I eat problems. But the man with glasses and the clasped hands is not laughing. He sits in purple neon lighting with the posture of someone who knows exactly what low E rank conceals, and his glowing blue eyes say the audit is coming. The paperwork is merely a formality, and Si Chen's true rank is about to become everyone's problem. The stomping starts before anyone's ready for it, which is the universal sound of administrative violence arriving fashionably early. Someone's out here shouting President Gong Ting with the desperation of a K-pop fan at a fan sign who knows the barricade is closing. Through the rain-streaked glass, our guy watches the chaos unfold with the emotional investment of someone who's already read this season's spoilers. Two suited men discover that shadowy figures make terrible roommates, their faces doing that we're about to be reassigned to the plot expression. The pleading starts immediately, pick me, because nothing says professional dignity like auditioning to not be trashed here. Meanwhile, Chen Y's out here with a bandaged forehead and main character volume, shouting about his healer class like it's a limited photo card drop. The team forms with all the organic chemistry of a forced group project, complete with motivational speech and team form notification that the system definitely did not need to announce aloud. Four bodies stand together while the universe updates their party status, and somewhere a dungeon master weeps. Three students react to the team assignments with the exact face you make when the professor says, "I've selected your groups for you." The sweating is cinematic, the distress is communal. Then the glasses-wearing analyst of the dorm drops the question everyone else was too polite to ask. Why is Si Chen's rank sitting in last place like it's got a reservation? The red-eyed strategist explains the new team composition rules with the energy of someone reading terms of service out loud. Apparently you need at least one high-tier E-rank member, which is like requiring a Ferrari to have training wheels. Someone else clocks that this whole system feels targeted, because when the dorm gets singled out for administrative violence, that's not paranoia, that's pattern recognition. The graduation battle examination gets name-dropped as everyone's only chance to escape the algorithm, which is exactly what a death game would say to keep you motivated. A man in a white coat stands apart from the hunched and desperate like he's already calculated the social distancing required for his narrative arc. The suits keep talking about low-rank team members with the casual cruelty of people who have never been the low-rank anything. Then the gray-haired youth looks up with that single yellow exclamation mark, the universal visual language of wait, that's illegal. The room fills with the kind of whispered venom that passes for office politics. You don't want to be teamed up with those three trash E-ranks, which is just ours speak for we've decided who the protagonists are. A close-up of pure red intensity follows, the kind of eye contact that makes you check your own inventory. Then three figures stand against the void with mid-tier E-rank glowing beneath them like a brand, a warning, or a very aggressive name tag. And ultimately, the text says it in red, because despair deserves its own color coding. Someone bows their head under the weight of administrative gravity. The apology comes clipped, nose down, the kind of sorry that means I have mortgage payments and this system has my direct deposit. But then three suits in a hallway look up with synchronized surprise because the narrative just took a turn that wasn't in their spreadsheet. The gray-suited concern is palpable, the face of a man who just realized the meeting has gone off agenda. Then the voice cuts through, I'm not gonna abandon my roommates, and suddenly we're not in an administrative drama anymore, we're in a found family manifesto with teeth. The stern-faced administrator gestures with that finger of authority, the universal body language of I have forms and I'm not afraid to file them. But then green eyes glow in the dark with the patience of someone who's already calculated exactly how much of this building he could consume if patience stops being a virtue. The hexagonal frame glows purple with C-rank mid-tier, a rank that someone paid for in tampered paperwork, not earned in any reality that matters. Gong Xuan, Director of Career Services, shares a surname with Gong Ting and a talent for connecting dots that the audience already connected 3 panels ago. The ponytailed analyst is furious in that specific way where disbelief and anger share a studio apartment. Someone went out of their way to tamper with his real rank, which is the bureaucratic equivalent of a drive-by. Then the sardonic question drops, does Gong Ting really think he's that big of a threat? And the answer, unspoken but glowing in every panel, is yes, absolutely, the threat assessment is correct, please update your will. The final text bubble lands with the exhausted wisdom of someone who's played this game before. People in power really can just do whatever they want until they meet someone who eats power for breakfast. The administrative meeting has officially gone off the rails. Si Chen's just standing there crackling with yellow lightning energy like he forgot the indoor voice setting on his class transformation, and the suit across from him decides now's the time to get smug about politeness. The older administrators are doing that thing where they pretend they have any control over this situation. One of them's literally holding a cigarette like it's a stress ball. The glasses guy is screaming, what the hell are you doing, as if Si Chen has ever once answered that question to anyone's satisfaction. Si Chen's golden eyes have that I've already calculated 17 ways to eat this room intensity. The cloaked figure in the doorway is just observing, probably updating their mental notes on which humans are about to become a problem. Red eyes in the foreground, yellow eyes in the back, it's a whole contact lens commercial of doom. Someone mentions the graduation examination and Ling Yu, blonde, purple-eyed, arms crossed, smirking like she already bought popcorn for this, just stands there radiating I caused this and I'm not sorry energy. The student council vice president has entered the chat and she brought chaos as her +1. The room's reaction to Ling Yu's presence is immediate and unhinged. Someone screaming about when Si Chen learned to know people like her, as if networking is the most unbelievable part of any of this. The cousin reveal has a guy in the back losing his entire mind. Family drama always hits different when demons are involved. The principal arrives and suddenly everyone's posture changes. The older man with the scarred forehead and the cigarette is doing mental gymnastics about reputation and prestige, and Ling Yu's just walking away with that click 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 heel energy that says she's already won whatever argument you thought you were having. The students are left wondering if she's actually taking their graduation exam, which, let's be honest, would be the least fair curve in academic history. Ling Yu's smug auditorium energy is doing heavy lifting. Some bearded suit in the back is laughing with purple energy crackling around him like he just unlocked villain mode, and a student is screaming as that same purple energy erupts. The principal's arrival has turned this from a meeting into a season finale. The principal is here too now, because of course he is, and the scarred older man is emanating enough purple authority to make everyone question their life choices. Someone actually tries to remind Ling Yu she's only a short-term exchange student, as if that's ever stopped anyone from completely destabilizing an institution. The principal starts monologuing about true abilities and prestige, and you can see the sweat drop on someone's face because they know exactly where this is going. The green and black robe in the abstract space is giving system loading screen vibes. The scarred man and Ling Yu are doing that stare down where both parties know the other is lying, but neither's willing to be the first to say it. The black speech bubble about particular circumstances is doing so much diplomatic heavy lifting it's getting overtime pay. The scarred forehead close-up is pure I've survived 3 regime changes and I'm not dying in a conference room energy. Someone asks how the school maintains reputation, and the answer is clearly not like this. The red N over someone's face is the visual equivalent of a content filter. Even the panel knows this reaction is too raw for broadcast. Si Chen's just standing there with red eyes and black hair, the woman behind him probably reconsidering every decision that led to this moment. The sweating glasses guy mutters that it doesn't matter, which is always what people say right before it matters catastrophically. Then the microphone guy swings in with "Goodness, you are absolutely correct," and the bowing figure in the back has officially given up on dignity. The speaker's explaining team rules about 5 members and high-tier requirements, and honestly, this is the most bureaucratic shonen tournament arc setup I've ever witnessed. But then, green glowing bracelets, fist bump, neon team-formed sign, the system has spoken, and it has better graphic design than most AAA games. The students are cheering like they just got early access to a beta they didn't qualify for. 3 roommates pose with the determined energy of guys who absolutely did not read the terms and conditions. Someone nominates Si Chen as team captain, which is either the smartest or most survival-threatening decision available. There's no middle ground with this man. The narration box drops the hammer. Si Chen and his 3 roommates are ranked the lowest in the entire school. The underdog arc has been activated and the system didn't even ask permission. The scarred man smiles with that "I know something you don't" energy, and the elderly scientist with the tablet is doing the same. 2 different generations of people who have learned that the ranked lowest team is always the one that destroys the curve. Prophet Marcus's introduction is subtle here, just a stern look to the side, but the beard and scar combo is doing foreshadowing work. Someone's screaming they actually chose that one with the kind of despair that only comes from watching a speedrunner pick the joke character. Students are reacting with pure horror to whatever just got picked on that glowing blue screen. The speech bubble screaming what you just picked in bold caps is the universal language of "we are not surviving this group project." And Si Chen, red and blue eyes, neutral expression, thought bubble of pure ellipsis, is giving absolutely nothing. The man has mastered the art of letting his choices speak for him, and his choices are always catastrophic for everyone else's blood pressure. The system throws up a completion screen like it's proud of itself, and somewhere in the dark something with too many teeth is already reviewing their application. Achievement unlocked, we picked the hard mode. The silhouettes on the reptile corpse say it all. Someone's already speedrunning bragging rights while the rest of the server is still reading the tutorial. The lab coats are doing that thing where they pretend to understand the difficulty curve. One of them finally checks the roster and realizes the D-rank slot already has squatters. His glasses fog with existential dread. The system cycles through its little waiting animation like a loading screen from 2007. FE D-rank. Each tier gets its moment in the spotlight before the portrait drops, and someone with purple eyes is about to learn that awaiting confirmation was a courtesy, not a requirement. The purple-eyed portrait stares back with the energy of someone who did not expect to be voluntold into a death cult with homework. The suit and pink tie combo says middle management. The expression says "I need to speak to hours about this dungeon assignment." Someone with red eyes and absolutely no patience is already reviewing the squad like a disappointed raid leader checking ilvels. The bracelet locks on with a glow that says "Congratulations, you're now property of the state," and the recipient immediately develops a migraine that predates the dungeon itself. The wrist device pulses with the kind of green confirmation that usually precedes a terms of service violation you can't opt out of. Is it too late to quit? The most relatable dialogue in this entire genre, met with a single MHM that somehow contains multitudes of no. 2 more examinees get the D-rank stamp while the system plays its little confirmation jingle. All team members have confirmed, which is bureaucratic speak for "you're all equally doomed and we've got the paperwork to prove it." The scientists lose their collective minds because apparently D-rank is the streaming content they didn't know they needed. Meanwhile, the blonde with the smirk is already drafting her "I told you so" speech, unaware that her team is about to become background characters in someone else's montage. The lab coats huddle around their glowing toy like it's a gacha pull that actually mattered. Someone's already laughing maniacally about team collapse, which, in this economy of narrative causality, is basically begging the plot to prove them wrong in the most humiliating way possible. The bespectacled one stares with the intensity of someone calculating whether forgetting to show up counts as a valid exit strategy. The red-eyed man looks sideways with absolutely no sympathy. Then, confirm, green light. The system has spoken and the system does not accept refunds. The confirmation spreads like a virus, green text propagating across wrists with the inevitability of a software update you can't postpone. Someone finally cracks, "How the hell am I the last one?" which is exactly the energy of every group project participant who thought they could ghost until the deadline. The final confirm button gets mashed with the desperation of a FOMO purchase at 11:59 p.m. We're all freaking graduating soon anyways, let's go balls to the wall, the most honest motivation any shonen protagonist has ever articulated. The system rewards this chaos with another green checkmark because the system loves enabling bad decisions. Four young men in suits pose with the collective confidence of people who absolutely did not read the dungeon's negative reviews. Then the apology comes: I chose the D-rank dungeon, delivered with the sorrow of someone who knows they're about to carry. In order to get MVP, the eyes say what the mouth won't: this was never about the team. For the top score together, the most generous reframing of "I'm using you" for leaderboard position in the history of cooperative gaming. The smirk doesn't even try to hide the spreadsheet behind it. The long black coat makes its entrance with the gravity of a final boss who read the script early. Two subordinates look up like they're about to receive quest text they'll skip. A student with wide eyes gets the full stare, see Chen, and you can practically hear the achievement pop for met the protagonist before he was famous. The blonde with purple eyes delivers the observation with the casual authority of someone who files incident reports for fun. First time I've seen that expression on Gong Ting, which, translated from observer speak, means the privileged heir is actually feeling something, and I'm logging it for future leverage. The elder with the beard offers his youth our fearless speech like he's collecting social security on wisdom. The blonde's follow-up, a bit overconfident, lands with the precision of someone who's already calculated the funeral expenses. The silhouettes against black don't argue. They know the editing room has already decided their survival odds. The scarred elder smiles like he's already seen this episode and knows the twist. Someone with goggles takes a projectile to the face with the enthusiasm of a VR tester who didn't read the safety manual. Impossible to develop necessary capabilities in such a, the sentence dies unfinished, which is poetic because that's exactly what happens to most of these kids. The VR room looks like a synchronized swimming routine designed by a sadist. Outside, three bodies hit the concrete while one student stands apart with the isolation of someone who either peaked early or knows something the others don't. Inside, the gasping starts, dodgeball, shuttle runs, sprints, long distance, the greatest hits of gym class trauma, now with permanent death as the fail state. The backpack adjustment is performative. He's buying time to compose his manifesto. At this point, the universal prefix to every bad decision ever justified, and then the rooftop sermon about fear washing over like a flood. Three listeners, three different levels of buying in, and the one standing knows they're not just talking about dungeons anymore. The multi-eyed lunging thing doesn't care about your speech, neither does the lightning-wreathed figure facing down a maw the size of a bus. Attack combo thrown together at the last second, the system's dry observation on a panel that contains more raw survival instinct than every training montage combined. Three faces on the stairs absorb what they're seeing with the silent horror of spectators at a train wreck. Battle experience, the two words that separate the spreadsheet theorist from the still breathing, delivered by someone who's clearly done the math and prefers the empirical method. The extreme close-up on red eyes doesn't blink, it doesn't need to. The bonfire scene is doing heavy narrative lifting, glowing sword, shadowy figures, monstrous silhouette on the hill. Since birth the ellipsis does more work than most characters. And then the armored demon stares from orange void with the patience of something that doesn't need to rush because the timeline is already its meal. What can a bunch of nobodies like us do? The question that launches every underdog arc, asked with the sincerity of people who haven't read their own character bios. The answer comes red-eyed and unblinking. We'll be crossing that social barrier right before their eyes. The graduation exam isn't a test anymore, it's a coming-out party for the hungry. See Chen's already mid-leap, lightning wreathing his arms like he personally offended the concept of gravity, and these two cosmic panthers with starry pelts are about to learn what overleveled means in a tutorial zone. The purple maw lunges, see Chen grins through blood splatter with that specific yellow-eyed menace that screams I have done this before and the menu hasn't changed, and the sword comes down with the finality of a patch note nerfing your main. Level up screen, cosmic background, the system confirming what we already know, 16 levels deep and he's still treating demon lords like daily quests. Two figures stand triumphant on a rock pile of corpses, the most functional relationship this series has shown. One day until the real battle, and Si Chen's face is doing that I remember how this ends 1,000-yard stare through fresh blood. The text bubble insists the real battle begins now, which is adorable. We've watched him eat 3 demon lords and a vending machine. Back to civilization where a young man with red eyes and clenched fists looks ready to fight bureaucracy itself. While Prophet Marcus, scarred, bearded, smiling like he sells timeshares in the apocalypse, shakes hands with a suit who definitely didn't read the terms of service. The principal gets the apology he didn't earn. Students press against windows with the exact energy of people who have never seen a real threat up close, and a white limousine pulls up carrying mystery cargo that screams political subplot arriving fashionably late. Pinkish red hair, formal suit, the Federation's vice chairman stepping out with the confidence of someone whose health bar we haven't seen yet. The crowd's shock is doing the heavy lifting here. Apparently this man outranks the concept of surprise itself. 28 teams, 23 picking F rank like they're ordering off the kids' menu, 3 brave souls hitting E rank, and the Secretary General herself, Sigrid White Collar, 0 patience, learning that someone actually selected D rank. The audacity, the hubris, the main character energy. Some suit offers chips during the apocalypse broadcast, which is exactly the emotional intelligence I'd expect from middle management, while Jing Yane, Lightning Warrior, F-rank Dungeon, discovers that Lord Strength means the spreadsheet lied about the encounter difficulty. Stag spiders in bioluminescent caverns, flower assassin class labels glowing ominously, and a bug creature with scythe arms descends on some poor silhouette who definitely didn't spec into dodge build. The E-rank dungeon is serving horror movie aesthetics with a side of occupational hazard. A man with glasses lunges with a knife while a woman leaps for her life, and Si Chen, finally, our guy, screams exam with the raw desperation of someone who's realized the proctor is a monster that doesn't grade on a curve. The wristband withdrawal function is getting a workout today. Snowy landscape, 5 figures leaving footprints toward an icy cave, and something with glowing blue eyes grins from the darkness with the confidence of a wraithwing monkey who knows it's an area of effect specialist. The party's what the hell are those things energy is universal and valid. Red-eyed determination against falling snow, a warning about dive attacks that everyone will ignore because that's how protagonists work, and bat-like monstrosities filling the blue sky like the worst migration pattern imaginable. Si Chen braces with Here It Comes, the official slogan of anyone who's read the patch notes. Si Chen takes an arrow to the everything, tumbling through snow with shocked eyes and clutching his head like the tutorial just became mandatory. But then, blue aura, leap, shout, he's already countering with the energy of someone who saves scummed this encounter 40 times. Some poor witness gasps, wait, did Si Chen just? And the panel answers by showing our boy crackling with yellow lightning over 3 fresh corpses in the snow. Yes he did, and he's not even breathing hard. Si Chen's eyes are glowing like he just read the terms of service and clicked I am the terms of service now. He tells the squad their current strength isn't enough, which is diplomatic for you would be a light appetizer. The explosion behind them agrees. Some poor graduate student gets yeeted into a wooden structure with the kind of force that suggests the tutorial boss read his resume and found it lacking. A furry nightmare climbs out of what I can only describe as demonic soup, and Si Chen responds with lightning that would make Thor file a trademark complaint. The creature learns that Fluffy and Flammable share more letters than it assumed. 3 wolves with glowing red eyes charge like they skipped anger management. Si Chen's fist meets the first one with yellow energy that says no. The second gets a beam to the face. The third watches its friends become object lessons in overestimation. Our guy glares forward with the intensity of someone who has already calculated the experience points yield of everyone in this forest. The background characters finally notice he doesn't seem like a graduate, he seems like someone who graduated from a war. A bat monster flies through with the confidence of something that has never met a protagonist. Chen Wai shouts a warning that arrives approximately 1 dodge too late. Si Chen's fist, however, is punctual, glowing, furious, and right on time. The squad remembers this is their graduation assessment, which is one way to describe surviving the food chain. Glasseskun greenlights his own power with the enthusiasm of someone who just realized participation trophies require participation, and Si Chen matches him with tendrils that suggest he's been holding back approximately everything. A winged horror shrieks like it's auditioning for a BTS Festa B-side. It breaks free instantly, because of course it does. Nothing in this forest respects crowd control. An ice wolf roars with the entitlement of a final exam that didn't study for you. Chen Wai, confirmed by scarred knuckles, throws a punch with green energy that says I have something to prove. The ice monster struggles against restraints that are less held and more temporarily inconvenienced. Then someone lobs fire at the situation because when in doubt, add fire. A man literally on fire leaps forward with the commitment of someone who has already accepted the hospital bill. The explosion that follows is less attack and more tax write-off. The wolf roars through fire with the tankiness of a protagonist who read the patch notes. Our guy swings and dodges and realizes this thing has more health points than his patience. Then pestilence, bloated, oozing, the whole aesthetic, erupts from the carnage like the worst surprise party. Glasses-kun hits his limit and announces he's going all out, which in anime terms means either a power spike or a funeral. The profanity-adjacent determination in that speech bubble suggests he's not planning to fill out the expense report for this mission. Red eyes, screaming, the whole transformation sequence, someone's ult just came off cooldown. The system congratulates them like a video game that doesn't understand context, and a drone reports the kill with the emotional intelligence of a spreadsheet. Three men get launched into the air, proving that victory celebrations in this universe involve involuntary flight. Some smug antagonist grins that it was a piece of cake, standing over a scene that absolutely was not cake. A wounded wolf hangs from a tree branch like the forest's idea of a warning sign. Si Chen stands over his own kill with lightning still crackling, and the grin says job the way a final boss says tutorial complete. An older man with glasses and a mustache sweats with the terror of someone whose grading rubric did not account for student eats the final exam. A blue demon explodes outward with the word live visible, which is less encouragement and more threat. Men in suits observe from somewhere warm and judgmental, noting that this young man performs quite excellently, the kind of understatement you use when someone just ate your curriculum. Purple hair leans back with the smugness of someone who thinks he's recruiting. Si Chen's purple-eyed glance back says he's already read this episode's script, and he's not auditioning. A lone figure watches a medieval town burn through the sunset haze, and somewhere a young woman with glowing red eyes decides she's done being underestimated. Prophet Marcus stands there with his feverish cult leader stare, delivering the classic villain line about no mercy for enemies, as if he's the one who read the script. The old man keeps monologuing about walls and pebbles and wasted talent, which is just cultist speak for I peaked in high school and now I run a dungeon-based pyramid scheme. Divine wings unfurl against a starry void, some poor soul falls through the cosmos, and the whole sequence has that budget anime opening energy where you know half this symbolism won't pay off. Blonde boy holds his sword like he's about to drop the most generic shonen speech of all time, and the system rewards him with a defiant text bubble that screams I have not read the terms and conditions. Our guy clasps his hands with the intensity of someone activating a gacha pull, while Prophet Marcus watches with the patience of a man who has already seen this episode. Time won't wait for you, says the cloaked figure in a bustling marketplace, which is exactly what someone says right before the time skip hits and we lose 3 months of training montage. Marcus tilts his head back like he's praying for better dialogue, then asks if someone can't receive a sword from the hall with the fake concern of a professor who already decided you're failing. Blonde boy goes wide-eyed at the mention of the Black Bride promotion match, and the panel basically screams this was foreshadowed 3 chapters ago, please act surprised. An older swordsman stands across from the kid in some dramatic courtyard, and the extreme close-up on an eye tells us this is serious because apparently we need a pupil dilation to understand tension now. The monocled elder winks with the energy of a man who knows exactly which stocks he insider traded, and then we're back to snowy slopes and billowing coats because this series cannot commit to one aesthetic. A grand domed building gets the moonlight treatment while some defeated warrior lies in his own dramatic blood pool, and another reaches out with the brothers in arms energy that absolutely will not save him. 2 figures lurk in a dark alley like they're about to sell counterfeit monocores. The monocled gentleman promises a spectacular match, and a blindfolded kid looks up at a reaching hand with the trust of someone who has never read a manhwa before. Someone's hands tremble at the unfathomable height of that wave, which is either a tsunami metaphor or someone's cultivation aura getting out of hand, and honestly at this point the difference is academic. A young man lies face down on stairs with his sword nearby, which is the manhwa equivalent of a task failed successfully screen, while Marcus raises his hand in surprise like he didn't order this particular casualty. A sword gets the dramatic solo shot with a speech bubble about great warriors, and then 2 men face off in a cavernous hall with the energy of a divorce mediation that got way out of hand. Blonde boy stands in a beam of light having a crisis about selfish greed and wanting courage, which is just shown in protagonist for I have main character syndrome and the narrative is enabling me. Marcus looks determined behind his monocle, a speech bubble goes ominously silent with just ellipses, and Si Chen stands with his back to us staring at birds because even he needs a break from this drama. Swords on shelves get philosophical about sincerity and warrior spirit, then the monocled elder winks again with the smugness of someone who definitely rigged this entire tournament for ratings. Marcus adjusts his monocle with the satisfaction of a man whose evil plan is proceeding on schedule, while some poor bowing swordsman gets the sound effect of a deep bow, which is Korean for my dignity, has left the chat. Marcus says thank you with the gratitude of a villain who just got exactly what he wanted, then chuckles heh heh with a scar across his forehead that screams backstory I will explain in a flashback you'll skip. Marcus looks down at someone kneeling with the full I am the protagonist of my own story villain energy, and then blonde boy lunges forward with the determination of a man who has not yet read the room. Two ornate daggers sit on a blue wall while a speech bubble declares conditions are finally met, and Marcus adjusts his eye while looking at a body on the floor with the clinical detachment of a dentist checking his schedule. A sword and shield get the purple energy treatment, a glowing blade pierces through magical swirl, and then we're told it's the next day, which means we absolutely missed the interesting part of this fight. Wide shot of fancy buildings, then some guy gets grabbed by another guy whose face is literally just a giant screaming mouth, and the manic grin close-up tells us this is either a demon or someone's Tuesday morning commute. The victim grimaces with the pain of a man who definitely did not sign up for face-to-face combat with a mouth that size, and then we get vertical lines suggesting movement or a barrier or the artist giving up on backgrounds. A robed figure stands in silver light like they're about to drop a mixtape. A green-haired woman smiles with her eyes closed, and someone explains the audience wants a better spectacle, which is just producer speak for we need more violence for the algorithm. Close up on a mouth that says you think I'll accept a proposal like that with the defiance of someone who absolutely will accept the proposal in 3 panels, while 2 women in dark dresses stand in a wooden hall holding swords they definitely know how to use. Green-haired shop girl smiles and gestures like she's selling you a quest item you'll never use. Then someone asks about significance for Eastern Continent swordsmen with the tilde that tells you this is either flirting or a threat, possibly both. A blindfolded woman stands silent with her sword, a robed figure lurks in cavernous darkness, and green hair takes that as acceptance with the confidence of someone who has never been told no in her entire life. Someone clasps hands before an ornate object with the reverence of a man about to propose to a cursed artifact. A cloaked figure stands before a grand building with crowd energy, and then an extreme close-up on an eye delivers philosophy about being human rather than warrior. A tall hooded woman faces a shorter figure with the energy of a job interview that's about to go very wrong, and then they stand in a grand hall with the formality of 2 people who absolutely will fight before this conversation ends. A sound effect for loud noise hangs over a multi-tiered arena, and then a veiled figure in ornate helmet stands with sword at side because apparently we're doing masked ball combat now and nobody sent me the dress code. Someone says, so you actually came, with the disappointment of a parent whose kid showed up to the intervention. A veiled figure stares with one visible eye, and then we get lace detailing because even the apocalypse has fashion standards. A blindfolded figure walks forward with dagger in hand like they're about to deliver the most dramatic acupuncture session ever, and then someone warns I warned you plenty from the darkness with a fist clenched around debris. A rune-engraved sword gets the glowing orb treatment. A speech bubble goes ominously incomplete with will be your, and then an extreme close-up on a wide dark eye tells us someone is about to experience the consequences of their own decisions. A masked figure gets flung through red energy with the grace of a ragdoll in a washing machine, and then a warrior with purple-accented armor looks forward with wide, determined eyes, and a sound effect that means the goosebumps have arrived. Ornate boots rest on a decorative shield with pink sparks because even combat needs aesthetic. A lone swordsman walks through dark space with floating red orbs, and someone holds a thin sword surrounded by wispy energy like they're charging a very deadly phone. Blue eyes stare through shadow with the intensity of a man who has seen the ending and didn't like it, and a cloaked figure stands silhouetted against purple storm with dark aura radiating because we have reached the final boss hallway portion of the program. Si Chen is having a genuinely terrible afternoon. The system is flashing critical injury detected like he's playing Dark Souls with a broken controller, and some glass cannon with glasses is screaming about thawing him immediately. Meanwhile, the frostbound Lich King is doing that thing where the boss laughs before phase 2. He cackles with the crown and everything. You know the type, the skeletal smugness. The eye read the villain manual energy. Si Chen's down bad, clutching a bleeding hand, panting like he just ran a marathon in a freezer, glowing eyes doing that I am about to make a terrible decision flicker. We've seen this look before. It never ends with therapy. Then homeboy with the glasses starts screaming about never giving up and Si Chen's like, fine, I'll just break my own leg casting this spell. The sound of exertion fills the air, the most relatable mage chanting in the genre. We've all been there at 3 a.m. grinding. The glove goes supernova, blue energy blade from the sky, shattering space itself. This is not a measured response. This is a man who looked at his health bar, looked at the boss's health bar, and decided math was a social construct. Someone screaming in agony, yellow eyes going full Super Saiyan, and then golden light, shielding, the glasses guy sweating, smirking like he just pulled off the clutch of the century. Heh, you still had to break free on your own. Bro thinks he's in a shonen. They finally identify the thing, C-rank, Cloud Elemental, Frostbound Lich King. The name has more syllables than this fight has seconds remaining. Then the ground rumbles, crystal formation the size of a building, descending fast, the kind of geometry that makes you reconsider your life choices. Spectral skull, glowing blue eyes, icy breath that could freeze a server's ping, and glasses guy is losing his mind about a frost nova this huge. Buddy, we're past frost nova, this is frost operating system, this is frost infrastructure, this is enterprise-grade cold. And then Si Chen just floats, eyes wide, glowing, the Gravehound King title active. The system has decided this is a cutscene now, no player input required. Just vibes and ethereal blue space and the quiet terror of a man who has become the loading screen. The Lich King roars, proper bone rattling, soul taxing, parental disappointment level roaring, and glasses guy gasps, assassin, don't tell me you're a 1 in a million, the math is not mathing for him. The probability engine in his brain just blue screened. Dual class awakener. The panel screams it into the void. Si Chen, mask half-formed, pink and blue energy spilling from his hands like he downloaded a second skill tree from a very sketchy website. The build is illegal. The build is beautiful. The build is about to violate terms of service. Fist crackles, the hologram confirms it. Si Chen, Abyssal Fiend, level 16. He declares he'll finish this right away, and the energy blade forms like the universe itself is tired of this fight and wants a lunch break. Fast mode engaged. This is not a negotiation. This is a speedrun. Mephisto reaches out like he's about to shake hands with the apocalypse, and the system decides now is the perfect time for a loading screen. Class change. Because nothing says final boss energy like making the audience wait through a patch update mid-fight. Si Chen's system card drops and it's not subtle. Level 16 Abyssal Fiend pink starburst hexagon that screams this build has been banned in 3 tournament formats. He announces he's finishing this immediately, which is the kind of confidence you only have when you've already read the spoiler thread. The energy sword materializes like he ordered it express shipping, and somewhere in the background War's armor is already registering this as a skill issue. Glasses guy is still processing, sweat beating like his brain is rendering at 2 frames per second. The magical circle lights up with 5 elemental icons, which is the system's way of saying pick a flavor of destruction. Meanwhile, shadowy figures with briefcases full of money appear, because even during apocalyptic combat, capitalism finds a way. Someone screams as the whir sound effect achieves sentience and becomes a character in its own right. Another voice stutters that Si Chen actually has, and the panel cuts them off because the author knows dramatic irony is a finite resource. Si Chen counts 1 with yellow lightning crackling around his fist, and Mephisto counts 2 with the energy of a demon king who has definitely seen this anime before. The countdown is not for them, it's for us. Strength, 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 stamina, stamina, stamina. The stat buffs stack like a K-pop chorus hitting the fan chant breakdown. The text triangles point upward with the confidence of a crypto bro explaining why this coin is different. Si Chen's legs glow with pink and blue stamina energy, which is either a power-up or the visual representation of every pre-workout supplement simultaneously kicking in. The energy blast goes off like someone detonated a cotton candy factory inside a supernova. A cloaked figure leaps upward, unleashing pink destruction while a shadowy monstrous form gets engulfed below. The classic I am the projectile now maneuver. Debris rains down in purple, and Glasses Guy looks up with the expression of a man who just realized his insurance doesn't cover dimensional collapse. Key, the skull screams, key. The pink-hued entity roars with the kind of guttural frequency that vibrates in your sternum. Mephisto spreads his arms against the white beams, a demon king embracing his own obliteration with theatrical grace. The explosion abstracts into pure color, no longer a place or a thing, just the concept of too much rendered in pink and white. A shadowy figure lunges through it, blue eyes cutting the chaos like they were made for this specific light show. Has completely vanished, the circular text announces, as if disappearance were a status update you could opt into. Icy tendrils shatter against white, a skeletal figure in a flowing cloak screaming "ah" as its body fragments into archive file oblivion. The frostbound Lich King, it turns out, was a limited-time event boss, and Si Chen just collected the final reward with extreme prejudice. Snap, blue energy from a dark entity, answered by a kneeling figure driving a sword into the ground to unleash pink retribution. The system drops frostbone skewers ×1 like a loot notification for a cooking ingredient, and someone asks if Si Chen one-shot a C-rank monster lord like it was nothing. The answer is visible in his expression, which reads, "I have done this before in another life, and the muscle memory is frankly insulting." A figure kneels in snow, surveying the fallen tree-like structure of a defeated enemy with the posture of someone checking their grocery list. Someone asks if he still has energy to defrost the others, which is a polite way of saying you just used enough power to terraform a small country. Can you do a party trick? The response is delivered in a panel that contains a word rhyming with duck and carries roughly that much kinetic energy. The skull-like entity with flowing white hair emerges from pale ether, not defeated so much as archived. Si Chen raises his hand, red eyes glowing with the specific brightness of a man who has unlocked the next tier of his subscription service. The word him blazes across the panel in pink because pronouns are now a power level, and grammar has become combat terminology. Si Chen unleashes from both hands, the kind of bilateral energy expenditure that suggests he's no longer conserving mana for the economy. A spectral dragon head erupts from the light, blue and furious, followed by a fist crackling with lightning that says I have moved past ranged combat and into the theology of punching. The system drops archive file, frostbound with a skeletal crowned figure, and the Cloud Mage character card appears with stats that are, frankly, rude to read this early in a series. A young boy kneels, conjuring blue energy while two others remain trapped in ice formations behind him. The classic I got mine approach to party dynamics. The hexagonal object with red spiral markings sits in snow, looking like a puzzle piece from a game rated far above this demographic. Si Chen's chest erupts with yellow energy, buzz buzz buzz, and the system announces gain ×1 lightning assassin with 100% power indicator. He stares at a star he apparently earned and asks, "Huh, I got a star," with the confusion of a man who has never been gamified before and finds the experience personally invasive. Si Chen's eyes shift red and green, illuminated by glowing symbols that suggest the system is running a diagnostic he didn't authorize. Then a dark tendril lashes out, striking a figure who cries "Erg," and gets flung through the air, sword flying loose. The classic I was standing too close to the protagonist injury that this series has normalized into a lifestyle. A fanged plant creature attacks, ensnaring someone in glowing chains while Mephisto, still formal wear impeccable, conjures his own glowing chains in response. A figure shouts I can't hold it back anymore, with purple energy channeling into fists, which is the mandatory pre-transformation declaration required by shonen law. Someone strains to draw a bow crackling with yellow energy, face contorted, because even in the middle of Demon King combat, the party's damage per second still needs setup time. A multi-mouthed creature crackles with yellow energy and roars because one mouth was insufficient for its emotional needs. Bomb, a man falls through the air, white pants and dark jacket becoming the unofficial uniform of Gravity's victims. Someone fires a bow while another uses purple energy below, and two figures panic with blow blow. We never faced anything this strong during our training. The desperate shout that Gong Ting's our only hope lands with the specific irony of a man crawling away in the background while the named savior is, at best, a commute away. The plant creature looms. Someone asks if enough power has been built up, and the answer arrives in the form of Si Chen. Lai Na, and Chen Wai standing on a rocky outcrop bathed in magical light. Hum stamina 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 strength strength strength. The fan chant continues, now with three-part harmony, elemental stacks vertically with triangle precision, and a close-up of determined face with strength text repeated 3 times in glowing fire confirms that this man has committed to the bit. He grips his sword, red eyes locked, surrounded by flames that are not his problem anymore. The blonde warrior with red eyes and glowing sword unleashes fiery attack. Voom! Explosion! And the red-mouthed creature lunges forward, spitting energy with the commitment of a final boss who knows it's the third act. Thwip. A figure in black wreathed in orange launches forward, and a man with glowing orange eyes shouts in rage, illuminated by harsh red light that suggests someone set the color temperature to personal vendetta. President, you're a freaking legend. Someone shouts at a blonde figure, with glasses guy visible in the background still processing events at his own pace. The presidential compliment arrives preloaded with enthusiasm, though whether the title refers to student council authority or combat demagoguery remains deliciously ambiguous. Ha! The blonde man in the long coat stands amid inferno, sword glowing, having apparently cleared a D-rank dungeon in half an hour. Haha, the text laughs for him because his vocal cords are busy being legendary. The speech bubble continues. We beat the dungeon in under an hour, and the D-rank dungeon bonus multiplier Wa, the math is cut off, but the implication is clear. Chen Wai, scarred knuckles and all, embraces someone joyfully while shouting a perfect score. That means we set a new school record. Ha, the celebration of people who have not yet met the protagonist and do not understand that records are temporary, mortality is negotiable, and Si Chen is still hungry. The aftermath of Mephisto's death looks like a hospital waiting room after a concert stampede, bandaged survivors, vacant stares, and that particular silence where everyone's still processing that they lived. Some guys crying about monsters not killing him, which is technically a win, and a redhead clutches her chest like she's still feeling Mephisto's shadow tendrils in her ribs. Si Chen stands there with a cup like he didn't just eat a demon lord for breakfast, and someone calls out to him with that particular tone of voice that means trouble wearing a suit. The peanut gallery starts up, couldn't finish the assessment, acting tough before, and it's giving major you weren't there, man energy from people who absolutely were not there. Vice Chairman enters stage left with the confidence of a man who thinks he's the final boss of this arc, two suited shadows trailing behind him like he's got a personal fog machine. The dialogue bubbles start calling him the man standing at the pinnacle of world power, which is a lot of syllables for guy in a trench coat who probably expense accounts his demon hunting. Si Chen's red eyes meet the vice chairman's yellow ones across the room, and the air between them develops its own weather system. Two predators doing the math on whether this is a conversation or a calorie estimate. The vice chairman calls him brilliant with the sincerity of a man who's already written the press release, and someone in the background screams like they just remembered Mephisto's death aura is still doing laps in their nervous system. Si Chen's eye in extreme close-up, the text calling him the most powerful figure in the world today, and he doesn't even blink, just that exhausted red stare that says he's already done this conversation in a previous timeline and it ended with everyone dead. The vice chairman pivots to praising the Gong family's young master with the enthusiasm of a man who keeps backup flattery in his coat pockets, and Gong Lin smiles back with the precise wattage of someone who knows exactly how this game works. Si Chen decides it's getting late with the emotional availability of a man who has literally died before and found the experience less tedious than bureaucratic small talk. But the principal announces a tie for perfect score, the Empire Guild kids celebrate like they just got concert tickets, and the whole room shifts from trauma ward to graduation ceremony in the span of one speech bubble. The celebration gets interrupted by what looks like a kidnapping in progress, because nothing says guild induction like someone getting grabbed by the collar, and the vice chairman's eye goes sharp with the kind of calculation that doesn't involve helping. Si Chen and the vice chairman stare across that divide again, Chinese characters floating between them like subtitles for a conversation neither is having out loud, and the temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. Cut to Si Chen's actual problem. He's short 500,000 on a debt to King Zhai, and the man who killed a demon lord is stressed about a loan like he's a college student with a credit card and no internship. The vice chairman demands a one-on-one tiebreaker, the principal does a double take that belongs in a sitcom, and someone whispers conspiracy with the body language of a man who's about to suggest something that benefits him specifically. Si Chen asks if he keeps the entire million, and the red-eyed determination on his face says he's not negotiating, he's calculating whether this man's pride is worth more than his internal organs. The vice chairman says if you can beat me with the confidence of a raid boss who hasn't read the patch notes, and Si Chen's answer is just take it all, 3 words, 0 hesitation, the emotional equivalent of a no-hit run agreement. The pink-haired observer finds this interesting with the enthusiasm of a Twitch chat discovering drama, and Si Chen walks toward the platform with the energy of a man who's about to speedrun a tutorial boss that doesn't know it's the tutorial. They face each other, red eyes and yellow, and the vice chairman asks how they settle this, but the real question is whether he's about to become the most expensive lesson in hubris that guild politics has ever purchased. Lord Zhao's man sits there like he just watched someone clear a raid tier 3 expansions early, still processing that the kid shattered the record with a perfect score. Zhao himself admits he's all over the news, which in this universe is basically the equivalent of trending on demon Twitter, but our boy isn't here for the clout. Si Chen hits him with a debt is a debt, red eyes burning with the intensity of someone who's calculated the exact nutritional value of this man's soul and decided it's not worth the paperwork. The man came to deliver 2 things, but Si Chen's already moved on to requesting a 1-week extension because the graduation assessment ended in a tie, and apparently that's a financial catastrophe in whatever economy these people are running. The reveal drops. Si Chen and the other champion are doing a one-on-one tiebreaker in a wild devil's cave, which Zhao's man hears with the exact face you'd make if someone told you their makeup exam was in an active war zone. Zhao frames the cave as interest for the extension, which is the most predatory loan term I've seen since student debt, and the narration notes Si Chen doesn't show a hint of fear about entering literal hell. Instead, he's just thinking about his debt and interest, and Zhao's man sweats with the realization that he's negotiating with someone whose risk assessment matrix doesn't include death as a meaningful variable. Cut to Kingshui Middle School, where a young woman throws her arms up because finals are finally over, the universal student experience transcending even apocalyptic system awakenings. She checks her phone, has a minor revelation, and suddenly we're in a selfie with Si Chen where both of them are smiling like they didn't just survive a semester of demon-adjacent academics. Then Si Yun explodes onto screen waving his National Awakeners University admission letter, elemental potential detected. The kind of pure, unfiltered sibling joy that hits different when you remember this kid's brother watched the world end once already. His sister asks if he's going to be an Awakener, and Si Chen drops that he'll uncover the truth behind their parents' disappearance, which is the most main character quest log updated moment this slice of life interlude has earned. Si Yun hits him with "You're amazing, bro, you'll definitely become a super incredible Awakener," and the sincerity is so potent it feels like a shield buff against the entire genre's cynicism. But Lai Na's watching this whole scene through her phone, and her expression shifts to something quieter, sadder, the realization that Si Chen watched everyone around him awaken one by one while he stayed behind, carrying that loneliness without ever showing it. Back at school, Lai Na approaches Si Chen with the energy of someone about to confess something, but Jin Duixin, pink hair, sparkles, the full school idol package, interrupts with the timing of a bias record during a solo Stan's Fangcam. The man literally has sparkles in his panel composition, which is how you know he's not a flame mage like Xiang Zuo, he's the idol variant, the kind who makes his entrance with stage presence that would make Misamo's choreographer nod in respect. Si Yun's friend whispers that she knows the school idol, and suddenly we're in Chibai crying chaos because Si Chen couldn't even manage to awaken, the dramatic irony so thick you could serve it as hot pot broth. Speaking of hot pot, we cut to a full sukiyaki spread that Si Yun somehow prepared despite the academic apocalypse, and Si Chen looks at this feast with the face of a man who has seen actual demon hordes but is still surprised by his sister's time management. The evening news plays in the background, some politician warmly interacting with students, and Si Chen eats with his eyes closed in contentment, while Lai Na watches him with the specific expression of someone who can see through the act. She thinks to herself that he's forcing himself to act tough again, and then the news drops twin geniuses with Si Chen's name attached, the kind of public reveal that turns a quiet dinner into a seismic event. Si Yun's face goes full shock. The spoon freezes midair, and somewhere in the silence you can hear the sound of a carefully maintained low-profile shattering into a million trending topic pieces. Meanwhile, in a much less wholesome location, a man with a whip stands over someone with bloody scratches, and another man with teal hair snarls you didn't win with the exact energy of someone who's about to become a cautionary tale about negotiating with devourers. A man in glasses tells him he doesn't get to make his own decisions anymore, that everything's arranged for the tiebreaker in a week, and the kid sweats with the realization that his autonomy just got patched out in a mandatory update. And then, from the shadows, a voice declares by any means necessary, which is the kind of phrase that never precedes a fair fight. It precedes the moment someone realizes the devourer they are targeting has already eaten bigger fish than them. Si Chen's stuck in a cosmic standoff against a pride of spectral lions and their king, who apparently read the same tactical manual he did. The Lord stays clean while the lionesses do the dirty work, which is basically every raid boss with ads ever. He tries to exploit an opening, but the Lion King just teleports to the safest lioness like a healer with perfect threat management. Si Chen's lightning assassin build is getting outmaneuvered by pack tactics, which is embarrassing for someone who literally ate a demon lord last arc. The system finally drops his class card, Lightning Assassin, 100% charged speed stat sitting at a casual 740. He's basically a voltage-guaranteed crit machine who can't land a hit because these cosmic cats are running better formation discipline than his entire dungeon party. Meanwhile, Ling Yu's watching from somewhere safe with that vice president smirk, probably updating her mental spreadsheet of how much his powers spiked. The blonde with purple eyes looks surprised for exactly half a second before her face returns to calculated default. Someone drops the word kite like it's a code name, a file, a whole operation. Top secret documents stamped with the devourer's own title seal the deal. The bureaucracy of being a cosmic threat apparently includes paperwork, which is the most realistic horror in this entire manhwa. Cut to some red-eyed man enjoying premium Wagyu beef like he didn't just order a hit on a teenager. His contacts crying happy tears that someone made it to the top, which hits different when you realize she's probably talking about the same teenager they're planning to dissect. Back at the most depressing dinner table in the city, Si Yun's wiping tears while her brother sits there with the emotional range of a firewall. The gap between my brother's a guild-recognized prodigy and my brother won't even look at me during dinner is doing more damage than any demon invasion could. The news hits her like a second awakening. Her own brother, praised by Vice Chairman Carl himself, the perfect score everyone gossiped about. The media circus has officially arrived, and Si Chen's low-profile build just got nerfed into oblivion by broadcast television. Si Yun's face cycles through every emotion at once while her brother keeps eating like the television isn't screaming his name. The one with the perfect score, they said. The one who's been hiding in plain sight while the world figured out how to monetize his existence. She tries to broach it, gets a yeah what's up through a mouthful of rice, and answers by crushing what appears to be a small demonic ear under her slipper. The sound effect is doing heavy lifting here because her brother's expression doesn't change at all. Back in the void, Si Chen's status screen confirms what the fight already told us. His stats are stacked, his luck is apparently a dump stat, and his spirit's middling enough to explain why he's eating his feelings instead of processing them. The electric assassin card glows beside a secondary build he hasn't touched yet. The spectral pack reforms, all cosmic fur and glowing hate, and Si Chen finally stops trying to outspeed them. He's been treating this like a damage per second check when it's clearly a mechanics fight, and the realization hits with the warmth of every raid leader who's ever yelled stop attacking the boss and handle the ads. The question finally lands, what even is the Lion King's class? Because this coordination, this teleport swapping, this flawless formation maintenance isn't in any monster manual he's memorized. The system offers no tooltip, no weakness scan, just the growing suspicion that he's fighting something with player-level tactics. He unleashes everything in a desperate clash, yellow lightning against purple void, and the lions just reform around him like he threw a tantrum at a weather system. The king maintains distance, the lionesses rotate perfectly, and Si Chen's starting to understand that raw stats don't solve encounters designed for intelligence checks. Lightning arcs, silhouettes blur, and he's trading blows with entities that don't flinch from voltage because they literally eat starlight for breakfast. The clash paints the void in jagged gold and violet, two energy signatures that refuse to resolve into a winner, and Si Chen's breathing hard for the first time since Mephisto. The lions attack endlessly, reforming, burning, lunging with fire breath and coordinated strikes that would make a raid guild weep. Si Chen's fist meets purple energy fist, his body meets claw, his patience meets its absolute limit, and somewhere in the huff-huff of exertion he finally asks the right question. Why am I trying to match them head-on with speed? The frustration boils over into something clearer, something that smells like strategy instead of pride. He's been speedrunning this fight with the wrong build, treating his lightning assassin like the only tool when the whole point of being a devourer is having options. Wait a minute, the realization lands like a system alert he should have seen 10 minutes ago. These things are toying with him, matching his speed because he's insisting on playing their game. The solution isn't faster lightning, the solution is refusing the matchup entirely. The screen loads, switching class, and what erupts from that blue aura isn't lightning at all, it's ice, it's bone, it's the Frostbone Skeleton King emerging from a build he buried for emergencies. White hair, blue eyes, the temperature of the void dropping to something that doesn't care about speed because nothing moves fast in a freeze. Finished, the banner confirms what the visual already screamed. Si Chen stands in his new form, regal and frozen and utterly done with this encounter's nonsense, and somewhere in the silence you can almost hear the Lion King realizing it just became the hunted. The Frostbone Skeleton King finally finishes its dramatic entrance, and the battlefield has officially become a cryotherapy session from hell. Our boy looks up at this thing like he's reconsidering several life choices, except he doesn't have any left to reconsider. That close-up says everything. Glowing blue eyes, the 1,000-yard stare of someone who has already read this boss's patch notes and knows the loot table is not in his favor. Then the system drops the nameplate. See Chen, level 17, surrounded by enough ice shards to make a twice winter comeback jealous. The Frostbone King is not a suggestion, it's a statement, and the statement is you are underleveled for this content. The Frost King proper gets his own title card, skeletal and crowned in ice, looking like someone left a Misamo stage prop in a freezer for 6 centuries. The Cloud Mage tags in too because apparently one apocalypse wasn't enough. The spectral panthers charge through blinding energy, the whole screen becomes a light show that would bankrupt a concert tour, and our boy is somewhere in the middle of this calculating whether his dodge roll has enough iframes. Spoiler, it does not. Boom goes the sound effect, except we're not reading sound effects because we have dignity. The purple-haired observer watches from the foreground like this is a stage, and he bought front row tickets specifically to see a man get dismantled by spectral wildlife. The lion roars, lightning forks down from a blue void that has no business being this atmospheric, and the energy blast fills the panel like someone maxed out the saturation slider. This is not a fight anymore, this is a weather system with a grudge. Pink energy erupts from the ground, debris goes everywhere, the panthers leap through void portals like they're commuting between dimensions, and 3 shadow lions plus 1 glow-up lion stand on cracked ice beneath a swirling portal. The encounter design team was not holding back. A monstrous clawed hand breaches the deep water, followed by a blue-maned horned lion opening its maw wide enough to swallow the concept of hope itself. The maw panel is just teeth and purple swirl, and the sudden understanding that bite attack was never meant to be taken literally. Our boy takes the express elevator down through a blue swirling void, impact effects and all, and lands in a desolate landscape surrounded by spectral wolves eyeing the glow lion like it's the last Buffett ticket. The fall damage alone should have killed him, but protagonists don't read physics patch notes. Close up on white hair, blue eyes, bright light, the I am about to do something that violates the terms of service face that every speedrunner makes right before the glitch that skips half the boss. The curtain of darkness on one side, screaming blue monstrosity on the other, this panel composition is doing more emotional labor than the entire script of some series. The creature's maw opens so wide it becomes architecture, becomes a doorway, becomes the reason sound effects were invented. The blue explosion shatters ground and sends light outward, and then the ice prison cracks, says the sound effect we are ignoring because the lion's spirit was never trapped, it was just charging in a very committed way. The small figure below looking up in awe is all of us. The cosmic entity with the glowing orb unleashes torrents of energy amid jagged ice, and our shadowy figure lunges forward with that coffin-shaped status icon reading LV. 17 Ash C Infernal Rakshasa, which is either a class change or the most aggressive LinkedIn update in history. Pink energy blast from the device, rich complete in the dialogue we are definitely not reading verbatim, a progress bar hits finished, and the system announces the fight on the first floor of the Dreadspire. The user interface design team has never met a font they didn't want to use simultaneously. Our boy glares forward with a snarl, purple energy crackling around him like he just got banned from a server, and is logging back in on an alt with something to prove. The menacing grin from the shadow figure opposite him says, "I was hoping you'd say that." Blinding white light from pink explosion, shadowy monstrous figure with tail lunging through chaos, and our boy with glowing blue eyes unleashing a pink energy attack that matches the enemy's aesthetic so hard they're basically coordinating outfits now. This is the we're not so different, you and I moment, except neither of them has time for dialogue. The final panel, lone figure in a long coat, glowing sword against a purple monstrous entity, desolate ice under a starry nebulae-filled sky. This is the wallpaper, this is the thumbnail, this is the moment where you realize he didn't come back from the dead to negotiate. He came back to collect a debt 7 years overdue, and the first installment just landed. Si Chen stands shirtless in some god-forsaken desert dimension, staring down a fluffy white lion cub with pink eyes, and asks it the most unhinged question in recruitment history. "You want to come with me?" The creature roars back, which in Manhwa logic is legally binding consent. The warnings come stacked like terms of service nobody reads. "You might get hurt, you might die, are you really sure?" Si Chen's purple eyes narrow with the intensity of someone who has already died once and rated the experience 3 stars. He accepts the contract. Status screen flashes because even interdimensional contracts need user interface confirmation. Si Chen smirks down at his new pet bouncing beside him like a Pokemon that skipped the evolution line and went straight to cosmic horror. Then the flames hit. The next floor of this dungeon is basically standing inside a server's cooling failure. Our boy is sweating through his coat, complaining about the heat like he's in a group chat with the sun itself. The lion cub peers over a lava ledge with a question mark floating above its head, which is honestly the most relatable reaction to this floor's interior design. Si Chen wonders what they'll run into, which is protagonist speak for something is about to violate my personal space. Red eye glow, lunging shadow. Impact on his gut before his brain processes the frame rate drop. The screen whites out with speed lines and Si Chen is sitting up in bed gasping, clutching his stomach like he just ate gas station sushi. He got one shot without even seeing what hit him, the most humbling loading screen in gaming history. Single tear rolling down his cheek, absolutely devastated by the damage to his pride. What terrifying power, he mutters, which is the standard issue line you say when the difficulty spike just violated several Geneva conventions. The game didn't just raise the stakes, it deleted his save file and laughed. Reality intrusion, his sister shouting that breakfast is ready, the most terrifying boss spawn in any domestic timeline. Si Chen hunches over covering his face, still processing his digital death while actual food exists in 3 dimensions. Noodles steam, coffee waits. He eats with the 1,000-yard stare of a veteran who has seen the other side of a loading screen. Chore instructions rain down like debuff notifications. Dishes, laundry, 30-minute timer. His sister eats bread with the nervous energy of someone who knows exactly how unstable her brother's sleep schedule has become. She mentions her summer job with the casual deflection of a teenager who has already calculated her exit strategy from this conversation. Si Chen's surprised lands with the weight of a man who specifically said he'd handle money stuff. His sister smiles that particular smile, the one that means she stopped listening 3 conversations ago. It'd be boring to sit around all summer, she says, which is teenager for your trauma is not my entire personality. Door slam. Sound effect, the dishes wait for no regressor. Water runs over ceramic in the sink, a domestic ritual from a life he's trying to protect. Si Chen stands before a clothing rack with the decision paralysis of someone who has faced demon lords but cannot commit to a shirt. Si Yun has always been like this, he thinks, which is older brother code for I worry about her more than I admit to myself. A framed photograph catches him, Si Yun winking peace sign, him smiling behind her like this is a normal life he gets to keep. She's still just a kid, not even an adult yet, and the weight of that fact settles in his chest with the density of everything he's trying to outrun. Once school stuff is handled, he has to go after Demon King Wrath. The to-do list of a man who cannot rest. Si Yun winks in the photo, irrepressible, the only one he really can't stop worrying about. His red eye catches light in close-up, the color of warnings he cannot voice aloud. Maybe I can do this, he thinks, hand to temple, the prayer of a man who has already failed once and been granted the cruelest mercy, a second attempt. The lion cub falls through purple void, tail streaming, toward a portal that should not exist in his apartment. Si Chen's eyes snap open, glowing purple with the particular horror of a summoner who did not read the fine print. The sentence dies in his throat. The creature materializes in his living room with the energy of a system bug that just became a feature. Shocked red eyes, the universal expression of this is not in my lease agreement. A mouse clings to couch cushion with question mark, collateral damage in a magical real estate dispute. 2 lion cubs now, one shredding tissues like it's filing paperwork for destruction. The panel crowns them. Phantasmal Lion King, vertical text, pink background, the most aggressive branding for a living room invasion I've ever witnessed. Si Yun loved cats and dogs since she was little, the narrator informs us, as she holds a white cat with a small dog beside her, the domestic idol that Si Chen is trying to preserve. So she should be fine with a little lion too, right? He holds up the glowing card with the desperate optimism of a man who has not considered the security deposit. He turns away from the kitchen. He peeks back through the doorway with the hesitation of someone who already knows the answer. Broken plate on the laundry room floor. Be fine with it, the text insists in the tone of a man who is absolutely not fine with it. The cub plays with dishes on the kitchen counter, purple eyes innocent, surrounded by the wreckage of Si Chen's security deposit. This is what happens when your summoned creature has no respect for open-plan living. Orange sky, power lines against sunset, the ordinary world that keeps spinning while Si Chen plans for apocalypse. A hand crackles with yellow energy, gripping a pipe until it breaks, the controlled violence he carries beneath his skin. Then the cut hits, Si Chengkai on stair-step, clutching a blade shard, blood around him, clothes torn, breathing hard after a savage blow. The regression trauma doesn't stay in the dungeon, it follows him home. Monstrous shadow entity crackles with dark energy, a terrified man cowering behind it, the future Si Chen is trained to prevent, leaking into his present. Red energy weapon descends toward a bleeding body on the ground. A wounded figure overwhelmed by flurry of sharp attacks, blood and gashes, the choreography of death he's memorized. An older man screams, blood streaming, the sound effect a single syllable of agony. What exactly are you, someone asks, and the question hangs with the weight of every transformation Si Chen is trying to outrun. Extreme close-up, bloodshot demonic eye, swirling red pupil, the rage that lives in his reflection. Security camera on red wall, green symbols overlaid, the surveillance state of his own becoming. Then the transformation hits, Si Chen engulfed in white energy, body contorting, demonic wings sprouting from his back, the devourer manifesting in the space where a brother used to be. He is what he's trying to prevent. The cruelest plot twist of all. Cut to ordinary, older man and young woman walking opposite directions at bus stop, the world still blind to what approaches. See Yun Sai's finally off work, complaining about summer milk tea crowds with the exhausted cheer of retail survival. She carries plastic bags filled with drinks, legs tired from standing, still thinking of her brother's preferences. Hope bro likes this flavor, she thinks, walking down a dim alley, and the dramatic irony physically hurts. Broken security camera on pipe system, the surveillance that should have watched her now blind. Si Yun walks with her backpack, 2 soda bottles, the yellow hoodie bright against dimming light. Alleyway with rolling garage doors, the architecture of every urban horror setup. Lockers in hallway, white bag swinging, her footsteps echoing in a space that feels too empty. She looks to the side, worried expression, sweat drop, the panel language of a death flag being planted in real time. The lion cub waits at home. The brother waits at home. The danger walks between them. The bouquet of red roses hits different when you know exactly who's holding them and what hospital connections they're about to name drop like it's a flex. Si Yun asks the only reasonable question, how does this man know where she lives? And he answers with, my father is the director of the one hospital, as if nepotism is a substitute for boundaries. The grab happens fast, black smartwatch, forced contact, the whole eye called friend's threat that losers deploy when charm fails. Our guy's surprised face says this wasn't in his hospital director-son playbook. Then the mask slips completely, you should be grateful I'm even chasing after you, spoken with the confidence of a man who's never been told no by anyone who mattered. The scream that follows is not his. One kick, roses scattered, pink-haired man on the pavement wondering which insurance plan covers ego damage. Si Yun's cheeks puffed in rage, shouting that he ruined her mood, the most relatable combat aftermath in Manhwa history. But the real star arrives on schedule, a fluffy white creature with pink eyes getting cheek squeezed while someone off-panel loses their entire mind. The oh my god is universal. The heart-shaped eyes are earned. Si Chen watches with that faint smile, the one that says I have killed demon lords, but this is the most dangerous thing I've done. Leo purrs in an orange hoodie, already more iconic than most protagonists. Pet registry office tomorrow. The knowing look, the phone buzz. June 18, 2157, the date alone tells us how far we've come from high school hallways. Next up, the red eyes sharpen. Prophet Marcus stands against green swirling energy, the kind of background that announces we are not in slice of life anymore. A portal in a tree, suited men gesturing like they're selling real estate in the apocalypse. Si Chen in the forest with a sword-bearing companion, drone overhead, the casual infrastructure of a world that's learned to weaponize curiosity. Ivan smokes and judges based on performance, the Imperial Guild's brand of motivation, filtered through nicotine. Beside him, Kai Yu's blue eyes above the bandana say everything the lower face doesn't need to. The three judges better perform well, someone warns, and the sunglasses smile says I know exactly what you mean by without leaving a trace. The vice chairman's schedule ended 2 days ago, yet here he stands, supervision or surveillance, the vocabulary blurs. Purple hair, reflective pause, years since I've witnessed a clash between true geniuses. The freckled smile, the blue figure's anticipation. The yellow eye, the red pupil. The kind of close-up that makes you check your own peripheral vision. 2 suited men in green ethereal space, the between place where deals get made and souls get priced. Green energy surrounds dark hair, neutral expression, the calm before the devour. The forest dim, red eyes watching, blonde swordsman walking away. Then the masked woman in trench coat, the want one offer, the SHH about cameras still rolling. And then the chest erupts, red energy violent as a heartbeat that forgot restraint. Si Chen's eyes glow upward, kanji floating like the system itself is screaming, this is not a power-up, this is a hunger that was always there, finally being fed. The demon heart doesn't issue warnings for just anyone. It's seen 10,000 candidates, 10,000 appetites, and never once flinched. Now it's screaming high risk in jagged red letters, and the only person not surprised is the one it's screaming about. Someone in the observation booth says this is the first warning they've ever seen. Meanwhile, Si Chen's already walking toward the gnarled tree with the blue openings, asking the quiet question, what if the D-rank lair isn't actually D-rank? The suits follow at a distance, muttering about candidates and sightlines while Si Chen and Chen Wai stand at the cliff's edge watching something tear itself apart below. Green energy everywhere. The kind of light that makes you check if your own shadow's still attached. The insectoid thing that crawls out has too many joints and exactly the right number of eyes. Someone draws a katana, someone else with blonde hair lunges before anyone can finish their threat assessment. The spider creature spams green projectiles like it's got unlimited mana and no concept of cooldowns. The blonde fighter cuts through them anyway, yellow blade, clean arc, the kind of swordwork that makes you wonder if he's secretly the protagonist of a different series. He slams the orb, swings again, and something erupts from a pale torso behind him, black tendrils, green ichor, the devourer making its entrance without an invitation. The creature's mouth still tries to beam him. The blonde fighter's already inside its guard. The masked woman in the cowboy hat checks her wrist, green 10 perfect score. The purple-haired smoker agrees. The dreadlocked evaluator calls it a flawless execution, nullified ambush, severed glands, finishing move without hesitation. They're grading him like this is a cooking competition and he just served a perfect medium-rare demon. Si Chen looks down at his own sword with the expression of a man who's already read the spoiler thread. The observers pivot to him and the tone shifts. His performance is a complete failure, they say, hands in pockets, not even looking at the camera. The most devastating critique in any language, indifference. Lord Zhao asks Yuan Long what Si Chen is searching for, and the old man starts to answer until a black shoe steps down on something pale and fleshy. The impact has 2 syllables in the original. You don't need to read Korean to understand what they mean. Si Chen stands among the roots looking up, and someone says he's searching for a method to secure a high score right away. Then the fist clenches, the eyes glow gold, and the voice from Shadow says the 3 words that break every tutorial, I found it. Yellow energy shatters the ground. A young man holds a glowing staff and screams something the translation won't touch. The abstract form behind him has vertical lines like a barcode for something that shouldn't be sold in stores. The observers lose their composure. He's going into the demon's lair, they shout, that's a level D lair, he'll put everyone in danger. Si Chen looks to the side with the patience of someone who's already died in worse places. Lightning assassin divine flash. The hand crackles gold. The figure looks down with eyes like stage lights at a Misamo comeback. Then the beams hit, multiple simultaneous, the kind of area of effect that makes insectoid monsters question their career choices. The yellow-clad fighter leaps, dodges, unleashes. Golden blades against shadow insects in a sandy arena. Then the unseen force hits, demons torn apart, blood trails, the devourer operating at a range that shouldn't be possible. A young man in a yellow hoodie lunges forward with the confidence of someone who knows the patch notes by heart. Green and teal paint across black, 3 insectoid demons fall through rain, leaving ichor trails. The blonde fighter stands on the rock with his glowing blades, looking at the overturned monster with the expression of a man who's just realized the menu has no prices. The observers ask what he just did, and the answer is standing in blue with green splatter at his feet. Is he not a little too overpowered, someone asks, which is the question you ask when you've never seen a speedrun before. The old man sweats, says the performance was too spectacular to justify anything less than full marks. 2 men whisper in secret, plot in secret, wonder if they can claim his actions were reckless or his style repetitive. The robed figure looks down at his hand, pensive. The speech bubble asks if the combat was too repetitive, which is rich coming from people whose entire job is watching the same test 50 times a day. The pink-haired freckled man smiles like he knows the next plot twist. A fist grips, white energy blasts from the right. Then the signal dies, signal lost, no warning, just the blue screen of death in a world that runs on demon energy instead of electricity. 2 suited men stare at a wall with a question mark. The scientists check their screens, ask why the signal's acting up again. The older man in the lab coat watches his computer with the worried expression of someone who's about to deliver bad news to a boss who shoots messengers. Then the screen fills with demon lair detected, risk level climbing, anomaly alert, signal strength 0. What is going on with this demon lair? Someone shouts into the void and the void does not answer. The scientists in their bright laboratory hold pens and stare at computers while green energy swirls outside, indifferent to their spreadsheets. A hole rips through stone. A man in a suit approaches the cave with the caution of someone who knows the last guy didn't come back. Then the musical note floats in darkness, pink and green energy swirling, and a young man with black hair and red eyes looks forward with the expression of someone who's already ordered and doesn't care about the calorie count. Another musical note. Then the close-up, spiky black hair, red eyes, the determined stare of a man who's been told no by the universe and filed it under suggestions, not rules. He's not asking permission to enter the demon lair. He's asking if the demon lair is ready for him. The entrance to the demon lair just vanishes. Not collapses, not seals, vanishes like the dungeon itself decided to no-hit run the party. The scientists are sweating through their lab coats, asking if something went wrong inside. Buddy, when the door to hell deletes itself, that's not a something went wrong, that's a we're all about to update our resumes. Inside, red eyes snap wide. A voice rolls through the fog, not a demon, not a minion, but the demon king of the seventh circle himself, announcing his presence like it's a surprise comeback stage. The contamination levels hit critical before anyone can read the terms of service. The system warnings are screaming in languages nobody bothered to translate. One of the scouts asks if anyone else heard that strange sound, and the answer is yes, yes we did, and it was the sound of our safety margin being permanently deleted. Si Chen and Chen Wai stand in the desolation while something laughs from the fog. A monster that speaks human language, the kind of red flag that usually means someone's about to learn what high tier actually costs. The insectoid horror emerges with purple eyes and scythe arms, like a praying mantis that got into the wrong supplement stack. One of the raiders is already losing it, pink dreadlocks, goggles, the full eye did not sign up for this energy. They're arguing about whether this thing is high tier or C rank or whatever classification helps them sleep at night, while the monster's actual head breaches the ground behind them. Classification is about to become irrelevant. The dreadlocked guy swings his glowing pink axe with main character confidence. The axe connects. The monster, War, because of course it's War, catches the blade like it's a suggestion. War doesn't even monologue. Just green energy, devastation, and the quiet realization that everyone in this party is about to become a loading screen tip. The robed figure tries to hold the line dissolves. Someone looks up at the blast with the exact face you make when the boss enters phase 2 at 10% health. Impaled through, the kind of wound that makes you check if your passive regeneration is still equipped. Another fighter raises his sword anyway, final stand energy, the most expensive resource in any dungeon. War roars, the armored demon form is all hexagonal eyes and no patience, but here comes the blonde suit guy with the orange sword, the most corporate warrior you've ever seen, and he actually connects. The insectoid horror falls. For 1 second hope exists, then the loot dispute begins. The suit guy pulls out a blood-stained paper like it's a receipt. According to raid priority principles, this kill belongs solely to him. The cloaked figure forbids interference with the energy of someone who's about to file a ticket with customer support. Si Chen watches this administrative nightmare with the dead eyes of a man who has seen guild drama and civilizations. Si Chen's eyes glow green. The suit guy is holding his chest, cauterizing his own wound with flame because apparently that's just Tuesday now. Someone suggests retreating. Si Chen's answer is one word, delivered with the warmth of a server shutdown notice: no. He refuses the suggestion. He grips his flaming sword with the determination of someone who has already calculated the respawn timer and decided it's unacceptable. Golden fire erupts. The monster stares back with hexagonal indifference. And Si Chen, our boy, the devourer, steps forward to solo a demon king who has not yet realized that the man in front of him already died once and got back up with a plan. The insectoid horror comes at them with a green energy blade and absolutely zero table manners. Its pink compound eyes glow with the confidence of a creature that has never met a speedrunner before. Chen Wai's already spinning up his yellow spear like he's about to reject this delivery. The thing strikes the ground hard enough to make geology reconsider its career choices. But here's where the patch notes get spicy. Blonde suit guy's orange sword connects clean, and a red blade follows up like they're running a tag team combo on this demon's refund policy. The insectoid form crumples. Si Chen's eyes are glowing, that particular shade of eye knows something you don't, which in this universe is basically his resting expression. The party stands in the aftermath, 3 figures under a sky that looks like it lost a bet with the color gray. The healing checks come in: green energy on a wounded arm, the classic "are you mobile" conversation that every party runs after a rough pull. Then the dreadlocked guy with sunglasses checks his wrist device and finds the signal dead. Compass malfunction. The kind of system error that says welcome to the real boss arena, no save points. All signals down, camera drone busted on the ground like a fallen scout. The party's official tech support just became vibes and prayer. And looming ahead, the real threat, a massive armored beast with green wounds that glow like neon signage for do not engage. The creature's body crackles with purple energy, black liquid dripping from wounds that should have killed it twice already. Multiple yellow beams lance out from its form like it's running a laser light show, and the audience is mandatory. Chen Wei swings again, experience points notification popping. The game still thinks this is a normal encounter. Chen Wei lunges with his yellow blade, the kind of committed swing that says I main damage per second and I have something to prove. Then he freezes. The shock on his face is pure Gildrade horror. He definitely chopped the head off and the thing's still parsing. The cloaked figure drops the reveal that monster was never the real lord. Hypnotized from the start, still acting after decapitation, the kind of zombie mechanics that make you check the patch notes for working as intended. See Chen's red eyes narrow, he knows this frequency. Alphaband sound waves, the same trick Wrath ran. Then the warnings hit. High danger. High-rank monster detected. Multiple system alerts bloom around C. Chen like the world's worst notification spam, and his expression doesn't change because he's already calculating the calorie count. Purple energy erupts from the cavern depths, a vortex with white sigils that spell you are not prepared in a language that doesn't need translation. A figure lunges through the purple haze, eyes glowing with that particular pink that says I am the final boss and I do not do small talk. See Chen touches his ear, the gesture of a man who prepared for exactly this frequency. Someone adjusts their collar, voice dropping to too late, the three most expensive words in any raid. And then the recognition hits, raw and immediate. I know this sound wave all too well. The memory cuts through, see Chen kneeling in rain, cradling a wounded body, the kind of flashback that doesn't ask permission before it loads. Then the prismatic explosion, rainbow light against dark, and the text that haunts, hypnotize and slaughter countless ordinary humans across the world. This isn't a dungeon. This is a farm, and the crop is consciousness itself. The red-eyed stare locks onto the truth. The lord of this lair is connected to Wrath, same frequency, same alphaband hypnosis, same wholesale disrespect for free will. The party walks into the cavern opening, purple energy swirling like a welcome mat designed by someone who hates you. Silhouettes against dark rock, a blast streaking across sky that isn't sky. They've crossed into somewhere the tutorial never covered. The serpent emerges. Not a metaphor, not a vision, a massive dark snake with glowing red eyes and purple energy, coiling around a throne-like structure that exists only to say someone important sits here, and it is not you. Egg-shaped pods fill the cavern, the kind of biological architecture that makes you wish you'd brought a flamethrower and a therapist. Three figures stand among them, observing, already too late to observe anything else. Skeletons pile among discarded weapons, the previous raid group's graveyard now serving as interior decor. See Chen listens through his earpiece, beta band audio ready, the counter frequency he prepared for Wrath, now deployed against Wrath's cousin or sibling or whatever demon family trees look like. The cloaked figure confirms, these people have no anti-hypnosis measures, they could die at any moment. And from the dark, the serpent's guttural the laugh of something that learned humor from watching prey suffer. The party stands on desolate rock, five figures facing what waits beyond. See Chen's red eyes stare forward with the intensity of a man who has already calculated every way this could go wrong and is running it anyway. The abyss stares back, it blinks first. Gong Ting kneels over a fallen opponent at 8 years old, blood on his face and nothing in his stomach but the lesson his father carved into him. The man in sunglasses calls the winners up to eat. This is not a childhood. Gong Cheng wraps his arms around himself, shivering, while Chen Wei offers bread with scarred knuckles and a blush that says he's not supposed to be the soft one here. The brothers whisper about their father finding out. The bandaged man tells them to quit talking. Empathy is a liability in this household. The impact comes without warning, a white flash, blood spray, the baseball bat swing we don't see but absolutely feel. Gong Ting kneels broken, bandaged, bowed, while his father stands over him with a dark rod and the smug declaration that he has always been the winner. Generational trauma just crit for maximum damage. Then the pivot, young Gong Ting grits his teeth and asks the only question that matters. If he wins, does he get to set the rules? The swords slam into ground. The defeated figure coughs blood while someone demands to know why the challenger won't fight his own battles. Because winning is the only rule that ever mattered, and this family never taught him any others. White armor raises a fist in desolation. The suited man explains that human rules aren't simple, but there's one thing, and his fist clenches around it, winning. The yellow-eyed boy stares through his bandages and understands this is his only value, the single stat his father bothered to max. The system didn't give him this build. We snap back to the present cavern, egg pods, purple energy, the whole biological architecture of bad decisions. The cloaked figure explains the alphaband hypnosis, same frequency as Wrath, same wholesale theft of free will. Then he clutches his chest, bleeding, and admits he's kept his sanity his own way too. Everyone's coping mechanism in this story is just trauma with extra steps. The red-eyed young man warns that any move exposes them all, dozens of C-rank monsters, certain death, the lair disguised as low-rank bait. The skull pile confirms the trap's body count. Lord Zhao's voice cuts through, smug and certain. This lord doesn't need to lift a finger. Si Chen's speedrun just hit a difficulty spike the guidebook didn't cover. The command drops, kill them for me, and the pink energy erupts. The masked cowboy points his own gun at his head, glowing eyes betraying no choice in the matter. Bodies fall like puppets with cut strings. The golden-haired fighter delivers a knockdown punch to purple eyes that aren't home anymore. Si Chen's party just became the audience for the worst puppet show in the demon realm. The insectoid horde emerges from cavern depths, mandibles clicking, purple eyes gleaming, the serpent coiling behind like a stage manager who outsources violence. The C-rank assassin designation flashes, blade-spined mantis, flower-class killer, the whole entomological nightmare catalog. Si Chen's devourer has an appetite, but even all-you-can-eat buffets have a seating limit. The blonde man in the suit calls emergency plan, and Chen Wai with his scarred knuckles grips his golden sword. Get those three out, he says, buying time because someone has to be the distraction so the protagonist can survive. The glowing-eyed young man loads something we don't recognize. The class switch progress bar appears. This man is about to respec his entire build into sacrifice. The insectoid screech tears air. Energy blasts collide in blinding explosion. The man with the glowing sword shouts that he asked for this tiebreaker, dragged everyone here, started this whole disaster, and he's the one who will finish it. The massive shadow falls across him. Some respawns cost more than health points. Glowing yellow eyes and bloodied fists clench one last time. The young man with crackling energy looks forward, loading bar beneath him, class switching in progress. He did well, someone says, as if that makes any of this fair. But when you've already died once, you stop asking for fairness and start demanding results. Si Chen's face is a canvas of blood and fury, yellow eyes burning through the gore like headlights through fog. This is not the deadpan devourer we know. This is a man who just watched his plan curdle. One of his guardian elites is already down, kneeling before a shadow that could swallow buildings, glowing sword looking less like a weapon and more like a nightlight in a hurricane. The blonde-haired guy in the suit, Si Chen, the lightning assassin, because of course he has a business card title, grins through crackling energy, realizing he misjudged these people. Si Chen stands wreathed in yellow lightning like he mains a Raiden build, and the next panel has someone eating that lightning for breakfast. The throne of lust does not respect your elemental aesthetic. Si Chen's eyes are glowing now too, but it's different. His is the light of someone who's already calculated 17 ways this goes wrong and is mentally drafting the apology letter to his own hubris. War stands in black steel, featureless helm staring down at the chaos, and even he seems to be recalculating, the demon king of the seventh circle watching a B-rank situation escalate into something that needs a new alphabet. A cloaked figure with a crown of thorns stands before a glowing hexagon with a question mark, and the dialogue starts doing math on the Phantomane Lion King's combat power. We're in deep when the system needs to pull up reference tables for comparison. The spectral lion head materializes, then the purple horse, then something with a scythe for a face. The throne of lust is serving a whole mythological bestiary, and Si Chen's party is the all-you-can-eat buffet that suddenly realizes it's on the menu. The shadow lunges, the red eye locks on, Si Chen punches through the crystalline appendage with a yellow explosion. Clang, not a sound effect, a lifestyle, and then he's airborne, surrounded by speed lines that suggest he broke several laws of aerodynamics and possibly physics itself. Insectoid swoosh, Si Chen's yellow energy punch, his battle cry rage echoing into the void, three different flavors of violence, one shared problem. None of it is putting a dent in the thing that actually matters, and the dungeon gates are locked down. Bam! The shadow demon takes a lightning sword to what passes for its face, and Si Chen's fighting alongside a man who tried to kill him 5 minutes ago because the enemy of my enemy is my temporary raid partner. The insectoid chorus shrieks in unison, grrr shriek, the whole entomological death metal discography, and the man in the bloodstained suit finally admits what we all see: too many monsters, too little time, the math is not mathing. Zap zap cap, Si Chen raises his hand and the yellow lightning answers, not borrowed power, his own. The devourer's true face showing through the student disguise like a loading screen finally hitting 100%. Energy blasts from his chest, beams descend from the void above, the whole battlefield becomes a yellow-on-purple light show. Si Chen is not fighting anymore. He's conducting an orchestra of destruction and the tempo is allegro con brio. Wham! The insectoid roar cuts off as yellow spears impale the swarm, blue-green explosions flowering where monsters stood. a red bloom on crystalline carapace. Si Chen's devourer is eating the battlefield in real time, and the system is struggling to render the loot notifications. Flash God Lightning Assassin, the title card flashes across his face, and somewhere a lightstick just achieved sentience and started crying, because this is the most extra stage name in a series that already has a devourer and a demon king of war. Pow Pow, the monstrous creatures take double yellow blasts, shadow entity unloading its own version, and the dialogue finally catches up with what the visuals have been screaming. That's impossible, the classic last words of everyone who just met a speedrunner. The close-up of pure fear, yellow eyes wide, sweat beating. This is the face of someone who just realized the tutorial boss they were farming has been watching YouTube guides and learned to parry. The shadow mouth lunges, Si Chen's yellow coat flashes, arms raised in that pose that means he's about to break something fundamental, and the monster dies impaled on light, blood splatter in negative space, the devourer's receipt for services rendered. Leaping through the air with twin glowing blades, striking down insectoids in a desolate landscape, Si Chen has fully respect into anime protagonist, and the choreo is hitting different because every landing costs him something he can't regenerate. Time, allies, the illusion of control. The dialogue admits he's covering the power gap with pure speed and technique, and the extreme close-up of panic confirms this is not a win, this is a delay, and the meter is running out. Pow, blade meets chitin, yellow beam shatters pink-eyed horror, golden X of crossed energies, and the monster lunges through its own death like it didn't read the patch notes. Some meals bite back before they go down. A blood-covered hand grips the sword hilt, snap, something breaks. Maybe the blade, maybe the plan, maybe the last tether on Si Chen's restraint, and the viewer is left holding their breath at the edge of a cliff that just got taller. Anna Zhu shows up late to Hot Pot, blue eyes wide with that specific energy of someone who doesn't know the world ended twice this week already. She's got some fluffy white parasite on her shoulder, and Lai gnaws across the table promising she told him something huge today, the kind of huge that means garlic sauce emergencies and zero demon lord awareness. The garlic sauce runs out, and that's the crisis that matters right now, because nobody at this table knows there's a masked smoker 3 blocks away with eyes on the girl with the braid. Jay's convenience store, payment confirmed, the whole machine of normalcy grinding forward while Anna buys candy for the thing she calls Leo, hugging it like it's not about to become a war zone casualty. Leo munches cookies in his sleep, and Anna promises more next time, which is the most devastating death flag this channel has seen since someone said I'll be right back in a horror movie. The walk home, the tap of sneakers, the smoker's confirmation, eyes on her, and then some bastard chewing on her photograph like it's a menu, like he's already tasting what he'll take. Cybernetic ear beanie, the whole aesthetic of a man who upgraded his body but not his soul, and Anna's still walking, still tapping, still existing in a world that's about to split open. The red-eyed woman sees it coming, Leo feels it, the whole city holds its breath, and then the roar, not a demon roar, something older, something that lives in the space where protection becomes violence. Leo bites down, pink eyes blazing, and the whisper comes, stay hidden, don't come out, the last lullaby of a world that's always been cruel to children who trust too easily. The red-eyed woman smiles, and tonight just got interesting is the most unhinged thing you can say when the night is already on fire. Cut to Si Chen, yellow eyes crackling, panting like he just sprinted through hell's back 9, and the shadow thing's frustrated, can't punch through to the vitals, not easily, which means our boys still got armor where it counts. The multi-eyed horror emerges from purple dark, and Si Chen's thinking, gotta crack that armor open first, which is the kind of tactical clarity you get when you've died once and refuse the encore. White-haired ally raises a blade in orange flame, Si Chen stares disbelieving, that time you bought me, it was just enough. And then Strength Max, the most unhinged user interface text this side of a fighting game final boss. The scream, the explosion, nuclear warrior extreme blaze, someone on the localization team was having the worst day of their life and we are all beneficiaries, and the suit man stands in fire while another lies defeated, glowing sword in hand. Leo explodes in golden light, silhouettes fall through blinding white boom, the whole panel budget for this chapter just got spent on one frame of We Are Not Okay, and the abstract sunset after is what happens when the art team needs a cigarette. Foot slams, shockwave, ugh, the warrior collapses, bloodied, gasping huff, and the system drops the worst patch notes of his life. Stamina depleted, mental control depleted, elemental control depleted, please consult a physician. Huff, finally, the yellow-eyed man breathes, and finally is doing so much heavy lifting. Finally what? Finally done, finally dead, finally free from the expectation that he could eat his way out of every problem. Whoosh through white and purple, and the lone warrior stands among dead and burning debris, declaring it's over, the most heartbreaking lie in any language because we know what genre we're in. Si Chen grips his sword, bloody cheeks, disheveled hair, and the exclamation point is the whole sentence. The system doesn't need words when the monster behind you says human, with the patience of something that waited 10 years for this. Bam bam, head slammed, eyes wide in panic, and the voice, I gave it everything, every last drop I had, which is exactly what you say right before the story proves it wasn't enough. He didn't return to survive the apocalypse, he returned to make sure it knew his name. The word requiem hangs in pink against the black, and a cloaked figure with a star-shaped core radiates something that feels less like magic and more like a system error with a grudge. Then the voice drops, enigma, like it's naming the patch that broke everything. A green orb vomits chaos across the panel, purple and pink light streaking like someone spilled the gradient tool on reality itself. Two fighters catch the edge of it, one kneeling, one staring, and in their speech bubble is doing more emotional labor than most dialogue in this series. Si Chen clutches his head, blood dripping from his mouth, the PFFT, of impact subtler than the system notification he's definitely not getting right now. Another figure nearby unleashes purple energy from both hands, glowing blue eyes locked in that specific expression of I did not grind for this. The cloaked figure, single red eye, branches for hair, the whole eldritch aesthetic, emits a Y that translates roughly to my build was supposed to hard counter yours. A demon with horns and blue eyes stands amid the purple wash while another body collapses behind him. And the follow-up question about hypnosis being completely ineffective lands like someone just discovered their main skill got nerfed mid-raid. Ultimate Ability Strike declares itself in a black bubble against white slashes, the kind of move name that screams I spent 3 skill points on branding. The robed figure answers with a pink aura and a threat tag that the system apparently auto-generates when you're about to regret your life choices. A winged, tentacled thing gets trapped in the resulting energy sphere, looking like a gacha pull that went wrong in 4 different directions. The scythe comes out, dark energy arcs, and someone kneels with a glowing orb that probably cost them their dignity. A boot stomps down with a shockwave, the universal animation for I am done with this phase of the boss fight. Then the demonic figure with blue arm markings emerges from purple-red vortex, holding a spiked weapon and radiating the energy of someone who just unlocked their second health bar. A green and purple monstrosity looms over a glowing pink figure who manages how is this possible? In the exact tone of every speedrunner watching their any percent record get invalidated by a new patch. The pink-eyed mass of tendrils and floating eyes, Asmodeus in true form, follows up with why. Am I completely unable to harm you? And that is the sound of a primordial demon king experiencing skill issue for the first time in several millennia. Asmodeus snaps T-tier him to shreds, and the minions comply with the enthusiasm of middle management executing a poorly conceived directive. A purple-scaled thing lunges, fangs bared, green energy charging. Another demon with purple horns and a scythe follows through. Then the pink beam connects, blood erupts, and the boss commands, Underling's die pipeline has never been more efficient. A figure in purple lunges through blood trail air, weapon extended, the kind of frame that usually precedes a you died screen. What follows is a demon with a severed head and a glowing purple sword doing the severing, then a shadow serpent lunging with pink tongue and single red eye. The design language of we have many more forms, please be patient. Si Chen, blue eyes, dark hair, the tired expression of someone who's seen this cutscene before, unleashes purple cyan light from both hands with the mechanical precision of a man who's been speedrunning Demon Realms since before they had official release dates. A purple creature lunges back, fangs out, claws extended, and green energy blasts from a dark chest in the kind of trade that leaves both parties questioning their build optimization. A shadowy figure raises a sword through purple-blue energy, asking is that so, with the intonation of someone whose threat assessment just got recalibrated in real time. Then a silhouetted form leaps through crackling energy, and that is either a tactical reposition or the most aggressive way to say I'm not done with you in the entire demon realm. White eyes, sharp teeth, pink aura, the scream is rage given visual form, the kind of panel that makes you check your volume settings. Then reality itself shatters into shards of light and glass around a glowing pink sword, and someone just activated the break the fourth wall and the boss arena skill that definitely wasn't in the tutorial. Green shards float against pink-purple void, the aftermath of a collision that redecorated the dimension. The branch-haired entity with its single pink eye manages what? What is this? The exact vocabulary of a primordial being whose unbeatable status just got patched without warning. A wounded pink-haired figure adds, he shattered the Lord's barrier with a single strike, in the tone of someone whose entire understanding of the power curve has been forcefully updated. A shadowy figure erupts from ground to sky, pink and blue energy trailing like a comet that decided vertical was the only valid direction. Jagged structures burst from Earth beneath white energy strikes, the landscape redesigning itself in real time. Then the explosion, black and white smoke pillars against desolate ground, the game over screen for whatever terrain feature used to exist there. Si Chen runs across broken rock, blue and pink energy swirling, managing no, in the specific cadence of someone whose plan just achieved too successful status. The ground cracks open beneath a single green eye, dark smoke pouring out, and the entity within declares I. I refuse to believe this, which, translated from Primordial Demon, means the dev patch notes did not mention this interaction. Red eyes glare through the panel with speak, the interrogation technique of someone who already knows the answer and hates it. Si Chen's own red-eyed close-up answers with break his seal, and that is not a question, that is a man who just connected two plot threads he was hoping would stay separate for at least 3 more arcs. The laugh starts ha-geha-ha from dark-haired lips amid swirling green, the kind of manic release that says I have lost the plot and found something better. A figure in green flames falls through rocky dark, laughing all the way down, while the single-eyed entity promises just you wait. The villain equivalent of I'll see you in the sequel. Protagonist. A pink-green blast erupts with stylized impact characters, the punctuation doing damage that the protagonist's actual attacks somehow couldn't. Then the loading bar appears, devouring loading, against dark red swirls, and the system finally found a polite way to say please wait while we process this primordial being into experience points. The branch-haired figure stands before a yellow file labeled Archive File Rathistonist. Someone's lore document just became a loot drop. Si Chen level 25, bathed in golden light, holds the green card with the tree entity's image, the victory pose of a man who just added a primordial demon to his collection with the same energy someone else reserves for completing a stamp book. Spiky black hair, red eyes, green aura from the chest, Si Chen stares forward with the determination of someone whose level-up screen just confirmed his suspicions. A bloodied figure gets held up coughing and admits, I never expected you to actually be a dual-class awakener. The I concedes speech but make it genre-aware. Then the full concession, you're far stronger than I am, translation, your build is illegal in tournament play. Si Chen speaks of the exit reopening now that the Lord's eradicated, the practical concern of a man who still needs to file expense reports for his dungeon runs. Then the close-up, glowing pink eyes, spiky black hair, the of a system sound effect that means something unlocked. The same eyes stare neutral, waiting, and that is the expression of someone whose next quest prompt is about to ruin their weekend. The screen fills with stylized roar characters above swirling purple-pink energy, and the single piano note we were promised is already loading in the composer's mind, because this isn't just the end of 32 chapters. It's the beginning of a war where the only thing hungry